Finally, he saw this young Master Liang whose name he had never seen before. Zhou Hao narrowed his eyes and looked at this young Master Liang who had made Zhang Hu abandon the territory he had fought for so many years and leave the country. He said with a cold smile, "What a big move." Liang Fengshan was also looking at Zhou Hao. Whether it was his figure or appearance, Zhou Hao was much more outstanding than him. Especially when Liang Fengshan saw Li Ruolin looking even more radiant than when he saw her 2 days ago. He was experienced in the aspect of women, so he naturally guessed that Li Ruolin must have been nourished by a man, and this man was obviously the Zhou Hao who saved her. Immediately, Liang Fengshan gnashed his teeth in hatred. He looked at Zhou Hao coldly. "It's him. He broke into my house while I was away. He even took away my wife. Arrest him for me." "Got it, Mr. Liang." The police officer responded and shouted to his subordinates, "Bring him back." The two policemen beside Zhou Hao held him and wanted to walk forward. Liang Fengshan also said coldly, "I know you know martial arts, but it's either the police or the armed police here. If you hurt them, you'll be wanted by the whole country." This time, Liang Fengshan hit Zhou Hao's soft spot. After all, these police and armed police were different from Zhang Hu's subordinates. As long as Zhou Hao wanted to gain a foothold in China, he could not fight these law enforcers who represented the country. Helpless, Zhou Hao could only submit temporarily and follow these police officers. Xiao Hao. Li Ruolin wanted to go forward but was stopped by a policeman. Liang Fengshan also walked towards Li Ruolin and wanted to grab her hand. "Wife, that's the murderer who kidnapped you. You don't need to plead for him. You'd better come home with me. I will treat you well." His gaze when looking at Li Ruolin was filled with lust and viciousness. "Liang Fengshan, you better not force me. If I want to kill you, no one here can stop me." Zhou Hao's voice came from the other side of the door. His cold qi made everyone present shiver. Hearing Zhou Hao's words, Liang Fengshan looked at Li Ruolin, who was very close to him. He hesitated for a moment and said, "All right, I will take care of you first." He looked up at Li Ruolin and said, "Wife, just you wait. After I finish dealing with that guy's matter, I will come back to find you." "Someone, send Madam back." Immediately, two bodyguards dressed in casual clothes walked over from the side and carried Li Ruolin and Li Chufan out of the house. Li Ruolin stared at Liang Fengshan with hatred before she was taken away and shouted with a determined expression, "Liang, I will not yield to you." Looking at Li Ruolin's disappearing back, the corner of Liang Fengshan's mouth curved into a smile. "Humph, humph. The more violent a woman is, the more I like her." The police officer just now smiled apologetically at Liang Fengshan and said, "Young Master Liang, what should we do next?" Liang Fengshan thought for a moment and said, "Let's go and see that guy first." "Let me see. What?" He stood in the Li family and looked around. "Also, hurry up and get rid of all the residents here. Don't waste my time. My time is very valuable." After that, Liang Fengshan followed the police to the Public Security Bureau. Zhou Hao was locked up in the detention room. At this time, he was sitting on an iron chair in the detention room. Perhaps because they knew he knew martial arts, the police had attached more than 10 iron chains to his body. His hands and feet were also chained to the chair. The door of the detention room was very thick iron branches. From the outside, Zhou Hao looked like a beast locked in an iron cage. Not long after, Liang Fengshan was accompanied by the director of the Public Security Bureau. The director even personally took a chair for him. Liang Fengshan sat not far from the iron door. There were policemen standing on both sides of the iron door. He was holding a light machine gun and aiming it at Zhou Hao inside. If he made any unusual movements, the two policemen would immediately pull the trigger. The first thing Liang Fengshan said to Zhou Hao after he sat down was, "You are very bold. You flatter me." Even with the shackles and iron shackles on his body, Zhou Hao was still very calm. There was no fear on his face. No one has ever dared to snatch food from their mouth. "You are the first one to do so." Liang Fengshan sneered at Zhou Hao, "But you are indeed powerful. There are so many well-trained guards in my villa, but they all let you bring Li Ruolin out. Humph, humph. You even instigated Zhang Hu to rebel. You are indeed very capable." Zhou Hao smiled and said, "My father's woman and son are both captured. He cannot disobey." Liang Fengshan, who was outside, looked up and said to the director of the Public Security Bureau beside him, "Did you hear that? And sue him for kidnapping and extortion." The director nodded and heard Zhou Hao say, "You, on the other hand, actually said that Sister Lan is your legal wife. This is quite surprising." Liang Fengshan shrugged his shoulders. "It's just a marriage certificate. How hard is it? But with this marriage certificate, the crime of kidnapping my wife is considered to be valid." Indeed, with Liang Fengshan's ability, Getting the Civil Affairs Bureau to get him a legal marriage certificate was as easy as flipping his hand. At this moment, Liang Fengshan looked at Zhou Hao with hatred in his eyes. He gritted his teeth and said, "You son of Ebi asterisk teeth, you even dare to touch the woman I like. Humph, humph, humph. Li Ruolin's taste makes you feel good, but you can only think about it in your heart in the future, because I will make someone castrate your dog's penis right away, so that you can only be a eunuch in the future." Zhou Hao only smiled and shook his head at Liang Fengshan's words. "Liang Fengshan, aren't you afraid that you will push me too hard? I will go all out and kill you? Hee 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 hee. Although your martial arts are strong, no matter how strong you are, you can't be stronger than bullets." Liang Fengshan sneered at Zhou Hao. "Besides, you can't move now. You know, as long as I say it, I will immediately kill you. Nowadays, there are not many prisoners who die in the detention room. No one will notice even if there are more of you." "Liang Fengshan, do you know?" "What?" Liang Fengshan leaned back on the chair and looked at Zhou Hao with his legs crossed. In his opinion, Zhou Hao's life and death was already in his hands. Because of this, he was not in a hurry to kill Zhou Hao. Zhou Hao said, "Actually, I'm not as simple as you think. In fact, I don't need to go to the last step and use force to deal with you. Although I can't beat you until the end, you might not really be able to do anything to me." "Oh? Then may I ask what your background is? Tell me. Look at this piece of land. Can I, Liang Fengshan, do anything to you?" Liang Fengshan said with a fearless smile. At this moment, the ringtone of the phone suddenly rang. It came from the policeman behind Liang Fengshan. Liang Fengshan and the director of the Public Security Bureau both looked at the policeman. The policeman was also stunned for a moment before he took out a phone from his pocket. He said, "This phone is not mine. It's the suspect's phone." He raised his chin towards Zhou Hao. Liang Fengshan took the phone and put it beside his ear. He deliberately smiled and said, "Hello, who are you looking for?" Zhao Yuqin's voice came from the other side of the phone. "You are not Zhou Hao? Then please pass the phone to Zhou Hao." Liang Fengshan heard. It was very pleasant to hear on the phone. He could almost tell that the person on the other side was a beauty just by her voice. He laughed and said, "Zhou Hao? I'm sorry, Zhou Hao can't answer your phone now. Hee hee, Zhou Hao is currently being detained." "You must be Liang Fengshan." Zhao Yuqin was quick-witted and immediately guessed who this person was. Liang Fengshan was also slightly surprised. "Beauty, you know me too?" Zhao Yuqin was not in the mood to talk nonsense with him. She said coldly, "You just said that Zhou Hao was detained. It should be a good thing for you." She took a deep breath. "I'm warning you. You better let him go. If you dare to do anything to him, I will not let you go." I'm so scared." Liang Fengshan really wasn't afraid. "Beauty, why don't you come and find Zhou Hao yourself? If you beg me, I will consider letting him go. But this will depend on your sincerity, if you're willing." Zhao Yuqin didn't need to see Liang Fengshan. Just hearing his voice, Zhao Yuqin could almost imagine his ugly face. She only heard him coldly interrupt Liang Fengshan's words. "I have already warned you. Since you refuse to accept a toast and refuse a forfeit, I will use my method to solve this problem. Don't think that just because you have a father as the governor, you can really run amok and no one can control you." After saying that, he slammed the phone shut. Liang Fengshan was stunned as he heard the busy tone from the phone. He muttered to himself, "This is the first time I have my phone smashed by a woman." Then he looked over at Zhou Hao. "Kid, you have quite a good fortune with women. The people you know are all beautiful women." Zhou Hao already knew that the call was probably from Zhao Yuqin. When he heard that Liang Fengshan even teased Zhao Yuqin, Zhou Hao was also very angry in his heart. If Liang Fengshan did not have a father who was the governor and made Zhou Hao hesitate, he would really go out and break Liang Fengshan's neck. As for Liang Fengshan, when he heard that Zhao Yuqin seemed to know his background, he was also a little worried. But it was just a little worry. In all his life, besides his father, he had never been afraid of anyone else. But at that moment, a police officer rushed over and whispered a few words into the director's ear. The chief's face changed drastically when he heard that. He couldn't help but say to Liang Fengshan, "Young Master Liang, there are many soldiers outside the municipal bureau. They said that they are from the headquarters of the Nanjing military, and some of them are from our provincial military. They said that we arrested the people from their military and asked us to release them." On the other side, Zhou Hao smiled and said, "Sigh, they are finally here." After saying that, he stretched out his arms and stood up from his chair. Under his actions, the iron chains on his hands, feet, and body all broke with a clanking sound. They did not cause any hindrance to Zhou Hao at all. "Liang Fengshan, the chief of the Public Security Bureau, and the others were dumbfounded as they watched Zhou Hao effortlessly break all the chains and shackles on his body. The two policemen who were carrying light machine guns outside the iron door were the first to react. They quickly aimed their guns at Zhou Hao and shouted loudly, "Don't move!" While Liang Fengshan was surprised by Zhou Hao's strength, he also thought of those people outside who claimed to be from the military headquarters of Nanjing. Their target must be Zhou Hao. Thinking back to Zhao Yuqin's words on the phone, Liang Fengshan immediately guessed that Zhou Hao's identity was not simple, but he did not think of letting Zhou Hao go so easily. He shouted at the two policemen with guns, "Shoot! Shoot him!" He planned to kill Zhou Hao before the people from the Nanjing military came in. As long as he told them that Zhou Hao violently attacked the police and was killed, they would not say anything. When the two policemen heard Liang Fengshan's words, they did not dare to shoot. Instead, they looked at the director next to Liang Fengshan. The bureau chief also said to Liang Fengshan, "Young Master Liang, this person is the person they are looking for in the military. If we kill him, will we? Do you dare to disobey my words?" Liang Fengshan glared at him. "Are you tired of being the chief? Do you want me to transfer you down to be a traffic policeman?" Huh. The chief's expression changed, and he was about to order the two police officers to shoot. But Zhou Hao would not let them do whatever they wanted. He swung the iron chain in his hand and hit it. One of the policemen outside the door let him fall off the light machine gun in pain. Before the other policemen could react, Zhou Hao kicked the ground with the tip of his foot. He sent an iron ring that fell off the iron chain flying and hit the policeman's head. The iron hoop fiercely hit the police officer's forehead and knocked him out on the spot. Zhou Hao also used the iron chain to drag the light machine gun that fell to the ground into his hand and aimed at Liang Fengshan, who was outside the door. He sneered, "You want to kill me so that I won't be able to testify against you? Humph, humph, humph. Looks like your wish is about to fail." Following Zhou Hao's words, 3 soldiers in green military uniforms pushed aside the obstruction of the police and walked over. Seeing these people come in, Liang Fengshan knew that his wish to kill Zhou Hao could no longer be realized. The bureau chief beside him shouted to the 3 soldiers who were walking over, "So what if you are from the military? Don't tell me the people from the military can barge into our public security bureau. I want your superiors to file a complaint." The leading soldier, who was in his 40s, said with a cold expression, "There's no need for that. I am Su Gaolin, Deputy Chief of Staff of the Nanjing Military Headquarters. These two are the Deputy Chief of the Nanjing Military Administrative Department, Major General Wang Changguei, and the Jiangsu Provincial Military Administrative Committee, Major General Huang Dongjian." Hearing Su Gaolin's words, Liang Fengshan and the bureau chief were shocked. They secretly looked at the 3 people's epaulets and saw that they were all major generals. The 2 of them had originally thought that the people from the military would at most be at the school level, but they did not expect that 3 major generals would come. Any one of these 3 people was not something that the Yangzhou Public Security Bureau could deal with. At this time, Su Gaolin slightly turned his head to look at the detention room behind Liang Fengshan and saw Zhou Hao, who was still holding a machine gun inside. So he asked, "Zhou Hao informed me that you were fine, right? Did they do anything to you?" Zhou Hao smiled. "They can't do anything to me." Huang Dongjian from Jiangsu Military District shouted at the police chief, "Open the door." These people who held high positions in the military had naturally experienced real battles. This kind of momentum could make ordinary people afraid. The director of the Public Security Bureau was also a figure in the Bureau of Chaotic Storms. However, after hearing Huang Dongjian's shout, he couldn't help but shrink back. He glanced at Liang Fengshan and then said to Huang Dongjian, This is a suspect caught by our department. Even if you are from the military, you can't break the rules and release the suspect without permission." "Suspect my ass." Wang Changguei immediately cursed. "He's an important figure in our military. When did he become your suspect? Instead, you just casually took a person from our military. I want to file a complaint with your superiors." That bureau chief's expression changed again. His superior was the Provincial Public Security Bureau. But towards Wang Changguei and the other generals, he believed that the Public Security Bureau would not dare to offend them too much. After weighing the pros and cons, the bureau chief gritted his teeth and got someone to open the door to the detention room. Zhou Hao slowly walked out and handed the machine gun back to the chief. At the same time, he looked at Liang Fengshan, who had a very ugly expression on his face. He smiled and said, "I told you, I can't touch you to the end, and you can't do anything to me either." He looked at the smile on Zhou Hao's face. Liang Fengshan was so angry that veins popped out on his forehead. He really wanted to snatch the light machine gun from the chief's hand and shoot Zhou Hao to death. However, although his father was the governor of a province, The provincial government and the military were not in the same system. If they really had a falling out, the military would not even look at Liang Xuantong's face. Liang Fengshan also knew that these three generals would not come alone. Thinking about the soldiers outside, Liang Fengshan understood that even if they fought, he would not be able to beat them. Zhou Hao came in front of Su Gaolin and the other two, smiled at them and said, "Three of you, I am really sorry to disturb you guys because of my matter this time. What are you talking about? Even if you are not a member of our military and are just an ordinary citizen, we can't let you be wronged," Su Gaolin said with a smile. At the same time, he glanced at Liang Fengshan and the chief. "Oh right, my girlfriend is still in their hands," Zhou Hao said. Wang Changgue, who was standing beside him, immediately walked up to Liang Fengshan. He was not young, but he was still looking at him coldly. "Young Master Liang, right? Humph, humph. I've heard of your name in the military district. You're indeed easy to bear," he said. "All right, hurry up and let go of her girlfriend. Otherwise, you won't look good on your own face." In front of Wang Changgue, Liang Fengshan felt a wave of pressure. Even in normal times, he was very unwilling to interact with the people in the army, because many of them were too principled. Their tempers were so hard and stinky that he, the hedonistic son, could not bear it. Now that he heard Wang Changgue's words, he stubbornly said, "What girlfriend? That's my legal wife. He wanted to kidnap my wife." Zhou Hao turned around and stared at Liang Fengshan. He snorted coldly. "So you mean you don't want to let her go? That's my wife. Who should I let go of?" Liang Fengshan still refused to compromise. "All right, we will wait and see," Zhou Hao said. Wang Changgue narrowed his eyes and looked at Liang Fengshan. He chuckled. "Good. Kid, you're amazing. I didn't think that there would still be people nowadays who would dare to forcefully snatch away women in such a righteous manner. It seems like we, the soldiers of the people, have to get rid of this evil for the people." After saying that, he left the ugly Liang Fengshan behind and left the Public Security Bureau with Su Gaolin and the others. When Zhou Hao walked out of the Public Security Bureau and saw the situation outside, he was also shocked. He saw 5 military trucks parked at the entrance of the Public Security Bureau. They were filled with armed soldiers, and there were more than 100 of them in total. Zhou Hao thought to himself, with such a force, Su Gaolin and the others wouldn't want to charge into the Public Security Bureau, right? Compared to these soldiers who were trained all year round, the police in the Public Security Bureau weren't a match at all. Zhou Hao, Su Gaolin and the others sat in a jeep together and politely said to the three of them, "Three of you, thank you very much for today." "Zhou, you are welcome." Su Gaolin and the others were not as cold as they were in the Public Security Bureau when they faced Zhou Hao. Su Gaolin smiled and said, "Our military's commander Zhu originally wanted to come personally, but he was too busy with military affairs to spare time, so he sent us over. How can we trouble Commander Zhu to come here personally?" He knew that this Commander Zhu was the commander of the Nanjing military region, Zhu Yongquan. He was different from Zhao Dingzhou, who had just been the commander of the Guangzhou military region for 2 years. Zhu Yongquan had been in charge of the Nanjing military region for many years, and he was also a Central Committee member. He was a high-ranking general in the military. However, Zhou Hao did not expect Zhu Yongquan to give Zhao Yuqin such a big deal of face. Even if he did not come personally, Su Gaolin and the other two had a very high status. Ordinary city leaders would not be able to deal with them. Su Gaolin saw through Zhou Hao's thoughts and smiled. "Old Master Zhao is the old leader of our Commander Zhu. When we fought the Americans in the Korean Peninsula, Commander Zhu was a soldier under Old Master Zhao. Commander Zhu relied on Old Master Zhao's guidance all these years to have his current achievements. Commander Zhu could be said to be a disciple of Old Master Zhao." After hearing Su Gaolin's words, Zhou Hao had a better understanding of the connections and power of Zhao family. It seemed like Old Master Zhao's position in China's military was very important. There were 2 important commanders in the 2 military regions in the country. One was his son, and the other was his student. This did not include the relationship between him and the other high-ranking generals. And this time, it was not Old Master Zhao who personally asked for Zhu Yongquan's help. It was Zhao Yuqin who told him that her friend was framed in Yangzhou, so Zhu Yongquan had to deal with it. Zhao Yuqin was originally watched by these old men in the army as she grew up. Furthermore, Zhao Yuqin was Old Master Zhao's daughter, which meant that she was Zhu Yongquan's junior sister. Naturally, they would be happy to help with Zhao Yuqin's request. "Our commander Zhu has heard about you a long time ago." Wang Changgue smiled at Zhou Hao and said, "Currently, the black jade ointments produced by Guangzhou Military District's military factory in large quantities are the medicinal formula that you provided. Hee hee, these black jade ointments are good stuff. The effect of bleeding control and pain is much better than the Yunnan Baiyao powders commonly used in our army. It greatly reduces the mortality rate of our soldiers. Our Commander Zhu has long wanted to see you. It's my pleasure to meet Commander Zhu, Zhou Hao said. However, he thought that Zhu Yongquan wanted to meet him for the purpose of giving him 1 or 2 prescriptions. Because according to what Zhao Yuqin said before, the black jade ointment produced by Guangzhou Military District's military factory had already been provided to all the major military districts in the country, as well as to the soldiers of the various military districts. And because the medicinal effects of the black jade ointments were much better than the commonly used Yunnan Baiyao powders in the military, the cost was slightly lower than the Yunnan Baiyao powders. So now, black jade ointments were gradually replacing Yunnan Baiyao powders, becoming the main regular medicine for the domestic military. The black jade ointments not only brought a huge economic benefit to the Guangzhou military, but also made Zhao Dingzhou very impressed. In addition to his outstanding achievements in the past and the power of Zhao family, the central government now had the intention of selecting Zhao Dingzhou as the central candidate, which made the people of the other military regions very jealous. Zhu Yongquan had a close relationship with the Zhao family, so he naturally knew that the person who provided the black jade ointment formula to Zhao Dingzhou was Zhou Hao. Now that Zhou Hao had accepted Zhu Yongquan's kindness, he naturally had to express his gratitude. Furthermore, it would be extremely beneficial for Zhou Hao to be able to win over the Nanjing military region. However, what Zhou Hao paid the most attention to now was rescuing Li Rulin and her family from Liang Fengshan's hands. When Zhou Hao told Su Gaolin and the others about his intention to rescue Li Rulin's family, Huang Dongjian smiled and said, "Since Liang Fengshan's goal is your girlfriend, then he will definitely find her. We just need to follow him." Thus, Su Gaolin let the 5 large trucks guarding the Public Security Bureau retreat first. The jeep they were in also drove to the side. Not long after, Zhou Hao and the others saw Liang Fengshan's car drive out of the Public Security Bureau. "Follow him," Su Gaolin said to the driver. Following Liang Fengshan's car, Zhou Hao and the others left the downtown area of Yangzhou and went to the suburbs. There was a luxurious villa on a hill near the lake, but it belonged to Liang Fengshan. Li Rulin's family should also be under house arrest there. Not long after, the 5 large trucks that had just retreated from the Public Security Bureau had arrived. Su Gaolin and the others did not give Liang Fengshan any chance. They directly let one of the large trucks crash into the iron door outside the villa. Then, one soldier after another got off the big cart and divided into a few teams. They surrounded the villa and attacked it in groups. Compared to the villa that Zhou Hao had barged into earlier, the security here was even stricter. Even the number of guards was much greater. Liang Fengshan returned from the Public Security Bureau with a stomach full of anger. Just as he was about to finally rule in to vent the anger that Zhou Hao had stirred up, a loud noise came from outside. Through the window, he saw a military truck knocking down the door of his villa. He immediately guessed that it was Zhou Hao and the others who came to find him. He gritted his teeth and said, "This is too much." As he spoke, he saw the soldiers with loaded guns attacking his villa. He shouted at the guards, "Kill them! They broke into the house. Kill them all!" However, his guards were stunned. They were facing the active soldiers. It wasn't about the difference in strength, but if they hurt an active soldier, they would usually be charged with heavy crimes. Even though Liang Fengshan was the son of the governor, they knew that Liang Fengshan would not protect them when the time came. Moreover, many of these people had retired from the army and had special feelings for the soldiers. If they wanted to kill those soldiers, how could they do it? Thus, when those soldiers attacked, these guards pretended to resist. Then, they were deliberately knocked down by the soldiers. This could be considered a public injury, enough to be worthy of this job. Thus, although there were many guards in Liang Fengshan's villa, they were all subdued in less than 2 minutes. Zhou Hao, Su Gaolin, and the rest slowly walked in. A few soldiers found Li Rulin and Li Chufan, who were under house arrest, in 2 rooms on the 2nd floor of the villa. They then protected them and walked down. Reporting to the chief, the mission of rescuing the hostages has been completed. The leading officer saluted and shouted in front of Su Gaolin. Zhou Hao, Li Rulin did not even look at Liang Fengshan, who was surrounded by the soldiers. She ran towards Zhou Hao and jumped into his arms. Li Chufan and his wife walked over with the help of the soldiers. They asked Zhou Hao with concern, "Zhou, are you okay?" Li Chufan saw the soldiers in the room. "Zhou, this is..." Zhou Hao smiled and said, "I have some connections with the military, so they are here to help us." At the same time, he stroked Li Rulin's hair in his arms and said gently, "Are you all right?" Li Rulin shook her head and peacefully leaned into Zhou Hao's arms. "Zhou Hao, what are you doing?" Liang Fengshan, who was surrounded by a few soldiers, roared at Zhou Hao. Even the military can't just barge into a house like this. You be asterisk stards, I won't compromise. Just as he was roaring, the phone in his arms rang. Liang Fengshan took out the phone. When he saw the number on the phone, his expression changed slightly. He put the phone close to his ear and took a breath and said, "Dad, it's me. Look at what you have done." Liang Zhouteng berated his son over the phone. You can also do something like robbing a civilian's daughter. Dad, when did I forcefully snatch civilian girls? Liang Fengshan said guiltily. Liang Zhouteng said angrily, the commander of the Nanjing military has already told me that you are causing trouble in Yangzhou. Humph, humph. You have thrown away all the face of our family. Dad, Hearing that the commander of the Nanjing military had already contacted his father, Liang Fengshan was also very surprised. Don't say anything, quickly let him go. Also, you have to apologize to him. Then get the hell out of here and come home. Did you hear that? Liang Fengshan was his only son, and although Liang Zhouteng loved Liang Fengshan dearly, it did not mean that he would let Liang Fengshan do whatever he wanted, especially since Zhu Yongquan had already greeted him. The provincial government and the military were divided into two systems. Although Liang Zhouteng had a high position in the government, Zhu Yongquan was not a good person, and the military had always been tough. Although in recent years, the country had intended to carry out a disarmament once again, in terms of attitude, the central government was still very biased towards the military. Especially now that Hong Kong and Macau were about to return, and Taihai was not very stable, the positions of the various military generals in the central government were even more important. Combining all these factors, Liang Zhintang would definitely not offend Zhu Yongquan, not to mention that he was the one who was in the wrong this time. And for people at Zhu Yongquan and Liang Zhintang's level, naturally, they would not casually fall out and fight with each other. In the end, the result was still the negotiation and compromise of both sides. Since Liang Fengshan was young, what he feared the most was what he feared the most: his own father. Furthermore, the reason why he was able to run amok in all these years was because of his father. Now that Liang Zhouteng no longer supported him, it would be difficult for him to continue the stalemate with Zhou Hao. As for Liang Xintang asking him to apologize to Zhou Hao, he naturally would not do it either. After putting down the phone, Liang Fengshan stared at Zhou Hao and said, "Zhou Hao, you have guts. Even my dad is not willing to offend you." "You flatter me." Zhou Hao smiled and said, "I hope you won't provoke me again. I won't look for you again. From now on, our river will never cross the well. Also, your so-called husband and wife relationship with Sister Lan. Go to the Civil Affairs Bureau immediately and abolish it." When he thought about how Liang Fengshan actually got the Civil Affairs Bureau to give him and Li Rulin a legal marriage certificate, Zhou Hao was unhappy. Things had come to an end here. Zhou Hao could not really do anything to Liang Fengshan, and Liang Fengshan could not do anything to Zhou Hao either. After Zhou Hao, Su Gaolin, and the others left with their soldiers, Liang Fengshan was still standing in the messy hall. The expression on his face kept changing. He suddenly raised an antique vase next to him and threw it on the ground. He kicked it repeatedly on the sofa and cried out in anger, "I won't let this matter rest. Zhou Hao, just you wait." Liang Fengshan shouted in the room. Su Gaolin and the others personally sent Zhou Hao and Li Rulin's family back to Windy Street. Zhou Hao and Li Rulin's family were very grateful to them. Su Gaolin said to Zhou Hao, "Zhou, are you free tomorrow?" Zhou Hao knew that Zhu Yongquan wanted to see him, so he said, "I am free. I also want to thank Commander Zhu personally." "Then I'll come here to pick you up tomorrow." Su Gaolin smiled and said, "When you are not around, I will arrange for someone to protect Miss Li's family. And after this, that boy surnamed Liang probably won't dare to do anything to Miss Li anymore." "All right, thank you." After that, Su Gaolin and Wang Changgue left. After being imprisoned by Liang Fengshan for half a day, Li Chufan and his wife were both physically and mentally exhausted. However, Li Chufan still said to Zhou Hao, "Zhou, I didn't expect you to have connections with the army. If it wasn't for their help this time, we don't know what to do either." Li Chufan still had some lingering fear in his heart when he saw how openly Liang Fengshan had framed innocent civilians and robbed them of their daughters. "By the way, I heard you call Rulin's sister Lan just now." Li Chufan asked Zhou Hao, "Are you younger than Rulin?" Zhou Hao realized that he had said something wrong and quickly smiled. "Actually, Sister Lan is a little older than me. Uncle and aunt, you wouldn't mind, would you?" No. Li Chufan smiled and said, "It's just that we thought that you were a little older than Rulin." Zhou Hao looked no different from an adult. His mature and experienced way of handling things also gave people a sense of maturity. That was why Li Chufan and his wife thought he was older than Li Rulin. If they knew that Zhou Hao was Li Ruolin's student, who knew what kind of reaction they would have? After knowing that Li Ruolin's family had returned safely, the neighbors of Windy Street all came over. Furthermore, they had just received a notification from Fengming Development Company, saying that the compensation for each resident's demolition would increase from 20,000 to 100,000. It turned out that after Liang Zhentong found out that Liang Fengshan had bullied the residents of Windy Street, he was afraid that others would take advantage of him and attack him, so he immediately ordered Liang Fengshan to raise the demolition compensation. When Xiaoruqiu told the neighbors that it was Zhou Hao who saved his family, these neighbors immediately guessed that the reason why Fengming Development Company was willing to raise the compensation fee was definitely related to Zhou Hao. Immediately, they began to praise this new son-in-law of Li family even more. When Li Chufan and Xiaoruqiu saw the neighbors praising Zhou Hao so much, they also felt proud and very happy. When the neighbors heard that Zhou Hao was going to bring Li Chufan and his wife to Xiang City, and that he was going to build a house for them, they were all filled with envy. I saw Zhou ask me where Ruolin's family lives the other day. He was so nervous that he asked me where Ruolin's family lives. I guess that Zhou and Ruolin's relationship must not be simple. The auntie on that day smiled and said, Ruolin is so lucky to have picked such a good husband. Oldly, Zhou is so filial to you. You all can enjoy yourselves in peace from now on. Listening to the auntie's words, Zhou Hao shook his head and smiled bitterly. He thought to himself, you even treated me as a member of the demolition office that day. After a long while, the neighbors left in a lively manner. Before they left, they all told Li Chufan and Xiaoruqiu that they were so fortunate to have found such a good son-in-law. Zhou, don't mind it. We have been neighbors for more than 10 years. We should be straightforward with each other. Li Chufan was afraid that Zhou Hao would get annoyed by those neighbors. Uncle, you are being too serious. These neighbors are so concerned about our family. I should be happy. Zhou Hao said with a smile. Li Chufan and Xiaoruqiu were very happy to see Zhou Hao so understanding. They felt that not only was Zhou Hao's character good, he was also brave and resourceful, and he was so respectful and filial to them. He was simply the best son-in-law. At this moment, Zhou Hao's phone rang. Zhou Hao saw that it was Zhao Yuqin's number and quickly picked up. Little pervert, is your teacher's lover all right? Zhao Yuqin said with a smile. She's fine now. Thank you, sister. It's good that you're all right, Zhao Yuqin said. Where's that guy surnamed Liang? He should have been arrested by his father. Humph. Humph. When she thought about how Liang Fengshan even dared to tease her, Zhao Yuqin was filled with anger. If it wasn't for the fact that she had some misgivings about Liang Zhoutong's identity, she would have been furious. She would have already gotten someone to teach Liang Fengshan a lesson. She said to Zhou Hao, "All right, come to Beijing in 2 days. My dad wants to see you." "Ah, old Master Zhao. He wants to see me?" Zhou Hao said in surprise. "Sister, could it be that he knows about us? Look at how scared you are. Why? Do you want to deny it after you have eaten everything?" Zhao Yuqin said in a lovable voice. Zhou Hao smiled bitterly. "Well, I haven't eaten it yet." "What do you mean you haven't eaten yet? You have seen and touched every part of my body. Isn't that enough?" Speaking of this, Zhao Yuqin couldn't help but blush. "I don't care. This time you must come to Beijing." "Himph himph, are you unwilling to part with your teacher's lover? Even your elder sister doesn't want to see her." Of course not, of course not." Zhou Hao quickly denied it. "Forget it. 2 days is too much of a rush. How about this? Come to Beijing in a week. 1 week should be enough for you to say goodbye to your teacher's lover." Therefore, under Zhao Yuqin's half-forced request, Zhou Hao could only agree to 10 million yuan in Beijing in 2 days. However, Zhou Hao did not know why old Master Zhao wanted to see him. "Xiao Hao, what's wrong?" Li Ruolin saw that Zhou Hao was frowning when he received the phone call. She could not help but care about him. Zhou Hao said, "Nothing. I just need to go to Beijing to see a big shot in a few days." Li Ruolin now knew that Zhou Hao was not simple. He was able to make so many soldiers break into Liang Fengshan's villa. When she saw Zhou Hao's fearful look, she asked worriedly, "That person wouldn't do anything to you, would he? Look at how scared you are." Zhou Hao shook his head. "That won't happen. It's just, that is a national leader. How can I not be nervous?" Li Ruolin was also shocked when she heard that Zhou Hao was going to meet a national leader. However, she still gently comforted Zhou Hao. "What are you worried about? You are standing straight and upright. What can they do to you? Don't scare yourself." "Haha, you're right." Under Li Ruolin's guidance, Zhou Hao also recovered. He thought that even if old Master Zhao was a powerful figure in the country, as long as he did not do anything wrong, he could not make things difficult for himself. Because of what happened in the past 2 days, Li family was physically and mentally exhausted. After dinner, Li Chufan and his wife went to bed early. Zhou Hao felt that since Li Chufan and the others had already found out about the incident between him and Li Ruolin, he might as well stay in Li Ruolin's room for the night. However, because Li Ruolin had encountered a series of changes in the past 2 days and had been tormented by Zhou Hao for the whole night, she really did not have the energy to deal with Zhou Hao. Zhou Hao was also considerate of this beloved person. So this night, Zhou Hao only hugged Li Ruolin and slept. He did not do anything and made Li Ruolin sleep peacefully the entire night. The next day, Li Chufan went to the factory where he originally worked. He persuaded people from the technical department to work in Zhou Hao's company. As expected, Su Gaolin came here personally to pick up Zhou Hao. Nanjing military headquarters was in Nanjing, so Zhou Hao and Su Gaolin took a train from Yangzhou to Nanjing. After arriving at Nanjing, there were already people waiting for them at the train station. After entering the city and even the military headquarters, Zhou Hao finally met Zhu Yongquan in the fitness room of the headquarters. When Zhou Hao saw Zhu Yongquan, he was doing pull-ups on the bicycle. There were a few officers accompanying him. Poison? When Zhu Yongquan heard Zhou Hao's words, he was stunned for a moment. Zhou Hao nodded his head. He remembered the poisonous formulas on the pages of the Shen Nong's herbal classic. He said to Zhu Yongquan, "Brother Zhu, I have some poisonous formulas in my hands. There was a poison called 7 Days of Peace. Although it is not fatal, if there is no antidote, the victim will be unconscious for 7 days and 7 nights before waking up. There's another poison called the Spring Water of Yellow, which causes the victim to instantly lose the ability to move and die within half an hour due to the coagulation of all the blood in the body." Zhu Yong was completely shocked. When he heard that Zhou Hao had the formula for the poison, he thought that it was an international biochemical weapon. If that was really the case, Zhu Yongquan wouldn't be able to accept it. Because even in a normal war, biological weapons were forbidden. This was a serious violation of humanity, and it was also prohibited by all the countries in the world. Although some countries had researched and developed biological weapons, in the end, they did not dare to take the risk of universal admonishment and brazenly use them in a conventional war. Therefore, the most frequent occurrence of biochemical weapons was in certain terrorist attacks. As for the 2 poisons that Zhou Hao mentioned, Zhu Yongquan was more interested in the 7 Days of Peace because the poison was not fatal. It would only cause the poisoned person to lose consciousness for 7 days and 7 nights. And according to Zhou Hao, this 7 Days of Peace was very effective. The victim would usually be unconscious for 15 seconds and completely lose the ability to move. This was very useful on the battlefield. It could make the enemy completely lose their ability to fight and resist, and it would not be a serious violation of humanitarian principles like the mustard qi that caused a large number of casualties. As for the yellow spring water, Zhu Yongquan hesitated for a moment before asking Zhou Hao, "Does this yellow spring water have an antidote?" Zhou Hao nodded, "Yes, but you have to consume it within half an hour of being poisoned. Otherwise, it will be difficult to save your life." "If that's the case, it still has some effect," Zhu Yongquan said after pondering for a moment. "Right, these 2 poisons are not contagious, right?" "No," Zhou Hao said. "If these poisons were contagious, then it would be very difficult to control them. They could cause irreparable disasters at any time." Zhou Hao said to Zhu Yongquan, "The materials for the yellow spring water are harder to find, so the production cost is also higher. The ingredients for this 7 Days of Peace are more common, so the cost is also lower. Moreover, according to what I know, this 7 Days of Peace can also be processed into medicine and fog agent, so it should be more convenient to use." Zhu Yongquan nodded and said, "That yellow spring water is too poisonous, so its range of use should be much smaller. As for the 7 Days of Peace, I'm quite interested. How about this? You name a price for these 2 medicinal formulas, and we'll buy them from you." Previously, Zhou Hao sold the black jade ointment formula to Zhao Dingzhou at a price of 300 million renminbi. That was because the range of usage of the black jade ointment was very wide. It could be used in the entire army, and it could also be used in the public market in the future. Correspondingly, the value of 7 Days of Peace and yellow spring water was not as high as the black jade ointment. Especially the yellow spring water, its fierce and deadly toxicity greatly limited its practicality. As for 7 Days of Peace, it could make the enemy completely lose the ability to resist on the battlefield. It could also be developed into drugs such as anesthetics, sedatives, and sleeping pills. Its application range was much larger than the yellow spring water. "How about this? 7 Days in Peace, 200 million. Zhou Hao said, "And the yellow spring water is 20 million. Is that okay?" Zhu Yongquan's face immediately turned bitter when he heard that. "Xiao Hao, we don't have much money left in the military." Zhou Hao ignored Zhu Yongquan's complaints and said with a smile, "The yellow spring water can be reduced. 7 days of peace, Zhu Yongquan said. Brother Zhu, you should know that after some research and development, 7 days of peace can be developed into a very good anesthesia or medicament. It is very valuable. My 200 million price is already very good. Even a high-ranking general like Zhu Yongquan felt that it was very difficult to raise the price with Zhou Hao. It made him feel that discussing the price with Zhou Hao was even more tiring than commanding an army. Finally, the price of 7 days of peace was firmly bitten by Zhou Hao on top of 200 million and refused to let go. As for Yellow Spring Water, it dropped to 13 million. Although the Yellow Spring Water could not be used in regular wars, it was still very useful in some special missions. After our military experts confirm the efficacy of the medicine, we can transfer the money to you, Zhu Yongquan said to Zhou Hao through gritted teeth. He finally knew that under Zhou Hao's handsome face, he was an experienced and cunning man who was much older than him. Brother Zhu, it's not like you have to pay for it yourself. You don't have to do this, Zhou Hao said with a smile. After discussing official business, Zhu Yongquan invited Zhou Hao to tour the military area. He even let Zhou Hao play with a gun at the shooting range. With Zhou Hao's superhuman eyesight, he could be said to be able to see through hundreds of steps. This shocked Zhu Yongquan and the officers present. Zhu Yongquan even asked Zhou Hao to play with a gun at the shooting range. Was it because he had practiced spearmanship since he was young? After having lunch with Zhu Yongquan, Su Gaolin, and the other generals in the command center's dining hall, Zhou Hao said goodbye. As for Zhu Yongquan, he took his leave. They still had official business to attend to, so they couldn't stay with Zhou Hao for too long. So, they let Zhou Hao go back first. Big brother Zhu, you said you would say something nice to me at old Master Zhao's place. Don't forget that. Before he left, Zhou Hao reminded Zhu Yongquan. I will tell the old man that you are a cunning little fox. Don't worry. Zhu Yongquan joked. After that, Zhou Hao took the train back to Yangzhou. It was already evening when he returned to Li Ruolin's home on Windy Street. When he just entered the house, Zhou Hao saw that other than Li Ruolin's house, there was also a middle-aged man who was about the same age as Li Chufan. He was chatting with Li Chufan there. Haha, Zhou, you're back. Li Chufan smiled at Zhou Hao and said, let me introduce you. This is Song Buoqian, the deputy director of our technical department. He heard that you were going to hire the entire technical department, so he wants to meet you personally. Zhou Hao quickly greeted Song Buoqian. Hello, Uncle Song. Hello, hello. Song Buoqian also responded with a smile. After Li Chufan's introduction, Zhou Hao found out that Song Buoqian was a graduate of Harbin Industrial University. After graduation, he was assigned to the technical department of this state-owned factory. Both Li Chufan and Song Buoqian were the most outstanding talents in the technical department. The formula of orange fruit was developed by Li Chufan and Zhou Hao. Song Buoqian also saw that the smile on the factory's face was diminishing year after year. Especially when foreign companies started to take over the domestic beverage market, the future of this state-owned factory was even more bleak. Many people in the technical department were planning to resign and go into the sea. Today, Li Chufan went to the factory to tell them that Zhou Hao wanted to build a beverage company and that he wanted to hire all the people in the technical department. After hearing that Zhou Hao's company would provide them with better pay and benefits, as well as a perfect scientific research environment, many people in the technical department were tempted. However, they were not sure if Zhou Hao's company could really be established. After all, this was related to their future, so they had to be careful. In order to make sure, Song Buoqian became the representative of the technical department and came to see Zhou Hao. Uncle Song, you can rest assured that the company has officially registered in Hong Kong. The factory is also in the process of construction. After our production equipment is shipped over from Germany, we can start production. Zhou Hao said. Although he had been searching for medicine with Xiao Jiming all over Hunan during this period of time, the preparation of the beverage company did not delay at all. The company's name was Sky River Drinks Limited, and the factory's address was near Huayu Village. As Fanli's construction team had already constructed the road leading to the outside of Huayu Village, transportation was not a problem. In addition to the high-quality spring in Huayu Village, Zhao Yuqin's men had also arrived at Jingyu County in Jilin Province, preparing to buy the high-quality spring in Jingyu County. In a few days, Zhou Hao would go to Beijing to settle this matter. According to his plan, he would buy the spring in Jingyu County that met the production requirements. He wanted to take advantage of the fact that the value of Jingyu County had yet to be fully excavated to occupy as many water sources as possible. Furthermore, he also wanted to build another production base in Jingyu County. Uncle Song, in the second half of this year at most, our company's products will officially appear in the market, Zhou Hao said confidently. Since he had set his eyes on the market all over the country, the scale of his company was also very large. This required constant investment. However, funds were the least of Zhou Hao's problems. Especially in this year's financial storm, Zhou Hao was absolutely confident that he could increase the billions of RMB in his hands by more than 10 times. After hearing Zhou Hao's description of the future prospects of the market and the development plan of Heavenly River, Song Buqian could not help but feel his blood boiling. If Zhou Hao's Tianhe company could really develop as he said, it would include the orange and orange fruits. Many of the formulas that the technical staff had researched in the past that were not approved by the factory would shine in the market in the future. Good. Song Buqian patted his thighs and said excitedly to Zhou Hao, "Zhou, then we will follow you. Uncle Song, I promise that your talent will not be overshadowed. I want to let those leaders in your factory see how big of a mistake it is for them to not have passed your research in the past." Zhou Hao was also very happy. He knew it very well. For a company, although funds and the market were important, talent was even rarer. The technical talents led by Li Chufan and Song Buqian would also be the most important assets of the company in the future. Because he was too excited, Song Buqian didn't stay for dinner and left in a hurry, saying he was going to tell this news to his colleagues at the technical department. But before he left, Zhou Hao also reminded him not to tell anyone else about this except for the people in the technical department, so as to avoid unnecessary complications. Song Buqian was not a person who did not know the severity of the matter, so he naturally knew what to do. According to Zhou Hao's opinion, he and the people from the technical department would not immediately resign from their jobs. They would wait until Zhou Hao finished building the factory in Huayu Village before going to Zhou Hao's company. According to the construction progress of the factory in Huayu Village, it would be ready to be used in the middle of the year. Song Buqian and the other technical talents also gave Zhou Hao a reminder. Currently, many beverage companies in the country were in a difficult situation. In the competition with foreign companies like Coca-Cola, they were suppressed to the point of not being able to fight back. Zhou Hao also knew that many state-owned companies' technical talents would be poached by those foreign companies in the future. Rather than that, he might as well take advantage of the moment when they felt that their future was not bright. Zhao Yuqin was already helping Zhou Hao with a lot of things, so Zhou Hao did not want to increase the burden on her. Therefore, this time Zhou Hao planned to seek help from the Yang family. Yang family's business spread all over the country, so naturally, they had a lot of connections. As for Yang Hongyue, she was the deputy governor of Jiangxi province, so it would be much easier for her to do things with half the effort. When they were having dinner with Li Chufan and the others, Li Chufan and Xie had already completely regarded Zhou Hao as their family. They kept adding rice and vegetables into his bowl. Even Li Ruolin, their biological daughter, could not help but feel jealous. When it was nighttime, Zhou Hao had already entered and exited Li Ruolin's room without any restraint. Before going to bed, Xie pulled Li Ruolin along and said that young people should cherish their health. When doing that, don't be too crazy. It made Li Ruolin so shy that she did not know what to say. However, Zhou Hao was really too strong in this aspect, so Li Ruolin was also speechless. After a day of rest, Li Ruolin had already recovered her condition. It also allowed Zhou Hao to enjoy the fish and water with her to his heart's content. It was just that the creaking sound of Li Ruolin's wooden bed was too loud, making Zhou Hao wish that he could cut off all 4 legs of the bed. After a few passionate moments, Li Ruolin softly lay in Zhou Hao's arms. A hand slowly caressed Zhou Hao's chest. It felt like Zhou Hao's muscles had become stronger and stronger compared to when he was in the Qiuning Mountains limestone cave. Just this gentle touch was enough to make Li Ruolin's heart pound like a deer. Zhou Hao's hand also roamed unrestrainedly on Li Ruolin's delicate body. Li Ruolin was the first and only woman who had a relationship with Zhou Hao so far. After getting the prescription of the Shinnong's herbal classic, Zhou Hao and Li Ruolin did not need to take any other measures. So Li Ruolin's body had always accepted Zhou Hao's essence without any restraint. Because of this, Li Ruolin's changes over the past few months were also obvious. She was already extremely beautiful, but now she had an even more reserved and seductive charm. Her skin was more delicate than before, and her figure was even more voluptuous than before. What Zhou Hao felt the most was her breasts. From the bamboo shoots of the past, they slowly transformed into the round and soft pendulum shape, which could easily squeeze out an alluring cleavage. Li Ruolin and Yang Jiabao's transformation made Zhou Hao even more certain that his essence was really a holy item for women. "Xiao Hao, when are we going back to Xiang City?" Li Ruolin asked in Zhou Hao's arms. Zhou Hao stroked her back and said, "Anytime. I have already asked someone to buy a house for your parents in Xiang City. It's in the Wanluo community in the northern city market, 3 bedrooms and 1 living room." The Wanluo community was about 20 minutes away from Yining Middle School. It was neither too far nor too close. Li Chufan and his wife stayed there because it was convenient to travel there, and the surrounding living facilities were complete. On the other hand, Zhou Hao did not want them to be too close to Li Ruolin. He did not want to disturb Zhou Hao and Li Ruolin's world and expose Zhou Hao's identity as Li Ruolin's student. Li Ruolin was smart and naturally could guess Zhou Hao's intentions. However, Zhou Hao was not picky about his parents' filial piety. Not only did he arrange a place for them to stay, he also arranged a job for Li Chufan. Li Ruolin kissed Zhou Hao's neck lightly. "Xiao Hao, you were so good." Zhou Hao hugged Li Ruolin and left his most solid shoulder to her. "By the way, I want to leave the day after tomorrow." Li Ruolin looked up and said to Zhou Hao, "Because a high school classmate of mine is getting married tomorrow, I want to attend her wedding banquet before leaving." "No problem." Zhou Hao smiled. "You will go with me tomorrow," Li Ruolin said. She also wanted her friends and classmates to meet her boyfriend. Except for Zhou Hao's young age, his other aspects were too outstanding, which made Li Ruolin feel proud from the bottom of her heart. In the morning, when Li Ruolin came out of the room, she happened to bump into Xiaoruqiu, who had woken up to make breakfast. "Is Zhou still sleeping?" Xiaoruqiu glanced at Li Ruolin's room and saw Zhou Hao sleeping soundly on the bed. Li Ruolin closed the door with a red face and blocked Xiaoruqiu's gaze. She then walked into the kitchen and made breakfast with Xiaoruqiu. Xiaoruqiu said to Li Ruolin, "Make some eggs for Zhou and make some supplements." Li Ruolin's culinary skills were quite outstanding. Although she was not as good as the chefs in the hotels, she was able to handle normal dishes with ease. She was a good woman who could walk out of the hall, enter the kitchen, and even sleep on the big bed. After eating the breakfast made by Li Ruolin and eating a few eggs under Xiaoruqiu's ambiguous gaze, Zhou Hao went out with Li Ruolin. At night, at Li Ruolin's classmates' wedding banquet. Since Li Ruolin's family was about to leave Yangzhou and move to Xiang City, they would not be able to come often in the future. Therefore, Li Ruolin wanted to walk around Yangzhou, and Zhou Hao would naturally be by her side. In fact, Yangzhou was a famous tourist attraction in China. The quiet lake waves, green water, and the small buildings by the river were all very distinctive in Jiangnan. As the saying went, fireworks go to Yangzhou in 3 months. This was the most beautiful time in Yangzhou. There were also the most tourists in Yangzhou City in a year. Zhou Hao accompanied Li Ruolin and toured West Lake, Great Ming Temple, Tea Garden, and other beautiful places. Both of their appearances were very outstanding. Walking between the beautiful scenery of Yangzhou, it was as if they blended into it, making the other tourists envious. After having a great fun tour, it was already past 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Zhou Hao and Li Ruolin returned home first. After all, they were going to attend the wedding banquet of their old classmate. They had to be more particular about their clothing, which was to respect themselves and others. As they were located in the south, the Yangzhou in March was already filled with warmth. Li Ruolin changed into a yellow silk dress over her knees and a light blue jacket. She looked dignified, generous, and cute. Zhou Hao, on the other hand, was more eye-catching. He had a good figure to begin with. After wearing the dark gray suit, he looked even more mature. His appearance and temperament were better than those of the celebrities and models. When Li Ruolin saw this, her eyes lit up, and at the same time, she asked, "When did you buy clothes?" "They are very pretty." Speaking of which, this was the first time she had seen Zhou Hao dressed in Western attire. That feeling was really great. He wouldn't. Someone had guessed Zhou Hao's guess. He was just a middle school student. "I just bought it recently. Doesn't it look good?" Zhou Hao smiled. Li Ruolin shook her head. "It looks great." At the same time, she also thought that those old classmates would definitely be surprised when they saw Zhou Hao. "Come back earlier." Before leaving, Xiaoruqiu said to the two of them. The two of them still had to pack their luggage and wait for tomorrow to go to Xiang City. The two of them took a taxi to Yangzhou Garden International Hotel. It was a 4-star hotel. It had just opened for business not long ago, and they could see the bright lights from afar. Nowadays, those who could hold a 4-star wedding banquet were already considered wealthy. From this, one could see that Li Ruolin's high school classmate's family or her husband's family were quite rich. A red card was erected in front of the hotel door. On it were the words, "Sun Yuan's United Marriage." He followed the waiter to the banquet hall on the 2nd floor and saw the family members of the newlyweds welcoming the guests at the door. "Ruolin, aren't you Li Ruolin?" At this time, a crisp female voice that sounded like the oriole coming out of the valley came from the side. Zhou Hao and Li Ruolin both looked towards the source of the voice and saw a woman who was about the same age as Li Ruolin, in her early 20s. She had a medium build and was slightly shorter than Li Ruolin. She had a head of hair that had just passed her neck and wore a black professional dress, as if she had just finished work and rushed to the banquet. She was also very beautiful. Even when compared to Li Ruolin, she was only slightly inferior. This was also because Li Ruolin had been nourished by Zhou Hao recently and her entire body was emitting a charming aura. Moreover, this woman had a tough and experienced temperament on her face. She was an independent woman. You are Su Lin. Li Ruolin hesitated for a moment and also recognized her. She immediately went forward and grabbed her hand. Su Lin, it has really been a long time. We haven't contacted each other since we graduated from high school, right? You didn't come to the classmate gatherings many times. Su Lin also smiled at Li Ruolin. Yes, it has really been a long time since we last saw each other. But you are still so beautiful. Oh no, you're even more beautiful than before. She turned her head to look at Zhou Hao, who was behind Li Ruolin. To be able to attend Yuan Qingwen's wedding with you. This must be your boyfriend. Hello, my name is Zhou Hao. Zhou Hao nodded with a smile and extended his hand to Su Lin. Su Lin also reached out her hand to hold Zhou Hao. There was a warm and friendly smile on her face. Hello, my name is Su Lin. I am Ruolin's classmate for 3 years in high school. Their hands only lightly shook and then loosened. In front of Li Ruolin, who had been away from high school for many years, Zhou Hao was very polite. In addition to his handsome appearance and proper manners, it was easier for people to have a good impression of him. Su Lin hooked her arm around Li Ruolin's arm and said with a smile, Ruolin, why didn't you tell us that you found such an outstanding boyfriend? Thinking back to back then when there were so many boys chasing you, you turned a blind eye to them. Li Ruolin's jade face was slightly red, but she could not hide the trace of pride and sweetness in her eyes. At this time, the three of them walked into the hall. As they were old classmates who did not often meet new people, those family members did not know Li Ruolin, Su Lin and the rest. Zhou Hao also signed his name at the entrance of the hall with them. At the same time, Zhou Hao and Su Lin also gave the gift money and red packets to the family members. Su Lin saw that the red packet Zhou Hao gave was bigger and looked heavy, so she couldn't help but ask curiously, Zhou Hao, how much did you give them? 9,999. I wish them a long time, Zhou Hao said with a smile. Wow, $10,000. Su Lin said softly. The gift she gave the newcomer was only $500, which was not a small amount. Unexpectedly, Zhou Hao was so generous and gave them 10,000 yuan as a gift. She could not help but say to Li Ruolin, Ruolin, your boyfriend is so generous. Of course, this kind of generosity must be built on sufficient strength. Li Ruolin looked at Zhou Hao and smiled to Su Lin. He is a person who spends money like a big hand and does not know how to live. Although she was blaming him, there was not a hint of anger in her eyes. There were already many guests in the hall, except for the family and relatives of the couple and their colleagues and friends. There were also a few tables filled with Li Ruolin and Su Lin's high school classmates. Su Lin's memory was very good. Although these high school classmates had changed a lot, she could still recognize them at a glance. She pulled Li Ruolin and walked towards those tables. Zhou Hao naturally followed. Everyone, look, our class monitor is here. Su Lin pulled Li Ruolin to those tables and shouted at the crowd with a smile. Everyone originally did not recognize Li Ruolin and Su Lin, but hearing what Su Lin said, they picked up all of their high school memories and surrounded the two of them. Class monitor, haha, it really is class monitor. Class monitor is still so beautiful. Huh, isn't this our student council member? Ha 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 ha, the student council member is here too. One of them pointed at Su Lin and laughed. It seemed like Li Ruolin and Su Lin were the two biggest officials in their high school class. No matter how high school life was, no matter how much happiness and bitterness it contained, after many years, they would still reminisce about the youthful years. Especially when they saw old classmates who were different from back then. This mellow feeling would fill their hearts even more. It's been a long time since we contacted each other. I didn't expect all of you to come. It seems like our Yuan Qingwen's face is really big. Su Lin smiled at everyone. A female classmate said, it's you who didn't contact us. We would hold a classmate gathering every year or two, but you never came. We all guessed that you didn't recognize us classmates. Su Lin smiled apologetically. It can't be helped. I was busy with my studies at school, but after graduating, I was busy with my work. I haven't been back to Yangzhou for 3 years. The company sent me here for a business trip this time, and I just happened to receive a call from Yuan Qingwen. That's why I rushed here. Seeing Su Lin dressed like a professional white-collar worker, everyone also understood that she was another strong woman who worked hard. The female classmate smiled and said, I guess so too. In high school, our big sister Su was the most hardworking one in the class. Unlike those boys, none of them had the heart to learn. A group of old classmates gathered there and chatted about the old days of high school. They had a lot of feelings. Zhou Hao stood quietly at the side as a loyal listener, not bothering them at all. At the same time, Watching Li Rulin happily recalling her high school life among the group of classmates was also a very pleasing thing to watch. However, Zhou Hao noticed that there were a few men who always surrounded Li Rulin, and all of them were teasing her as they talked. At this moment, a female classmate of Li Rulin and Su Lin saw Zhou Hao standing there. She was very shocked by Zhou Hao, who was dressed in a proper suit. She asked him, "You are also from our class? What is your name? I remember that there are no boys in our class who are so good-looking." Everyone's gaze was attracted by her words, and they also saw the tall and handsome Zhou Hao. Su Lin covered her mouth and smiled. "You guys just saw him now. He's the boyfriend of our class monitor. He specially brought him to meet our old classmates." These people only looked at Li Rulin in surprise when they heard that. What? The class monitor has a boyfriend? Su Lin, however, glared at them. Is it very strange? Could it be that Rulin can't have a boyfriend? Actually, many of their high school classmates brought their male and female friends over. Some of them were even married. However, when Li Rulin was in high school, she was like a snow lotus on Mount Huagua. She had never been contaminated by other boys, so everyone did not expect that she would also have a boyfriend. Zhou Hao walked over at the right time and stood behind Li Rulin's chair. He put his hands on Li Rulin's shoulders and nodded to everyone with a smile. "Hello, I am Zhou Hao." This meant that he had admitted to being Li Rulin's boyfriend. Li Rulin looked up at him and only smiled. Under everyone's gaze, her face was slightly red. Everyone started to jeer, and a male classmate said, "Back then, I had a crush on the class monitor for a full 3 years. I didn't think that the class monitor would also have an owner now. It really makes me sad." Thinking back to the time when he had a crush on Li Rulin, he didn't dare to say it out loud. Now that he had grown up, he no longer had that throbbing and shy feeling. The woman beside him immediately pinched his ear. She said angrily, "Why are you so sad? Why are you so sad when I have a boyfriend?" It seemed that this was his real girlfriend. When she heard her man say that he had a crush on her in public, she thought that every woman would not be happy. On the other hand, the liveliness between the two of them made everyone laugh. On the other side, Zhou Hao noticed that the men who were walking around Li Rulin just now were looking at him with unfriendly eyes. But he understood when he thought about it. Li Rulin had been born with a natural beauty since she was young. She should have been a class flower-type beauty in high school. Naturally, she would be chased by the boys. At that time, Li Rulin had been focused on her studies, and her family had been very strict with her. She did not have any intention of dating at all, so she did not accept them. Now that Zhou Hao had taken away the goddess in their hearts, they naturally did not have a good impression of Zhou Hao. "Brother, you must have great talent to be able to make our Rulin fall in love with you. I wonder what you are doing now." A man in a black suit came up to Zhou Hao and asked. The smile on his face was somewhat gloomy. Looking at this man, Zhou Hao thought that he should have been Li Rulin's most enthusiastic admirer in the past, so he smiled and said, "How can I have any talent? If I say it out loud, I won't be laughed at by everyone. I don't have any official job now. I usually just stir-fry stocks and earn some money to subsidize my living expenses." Another man, who was obviously in the same group, deliberately laughed and said, "Stirring stocks? Didn't they say that the domestic stock market plummeted a while ago? Many people suffered heavy losses. Friend, you couldn't have been affected too, right? Hee, I was lucky that I was able to withdraw myself in time. Now, I am not investing in China anymore. I am mainly investing in Hong Kong." Zhou Hao was very calm as he dealt with these men making things difficult for him. Li Rulin, who was sitting on the other side, found Zhou Hao's words funny. Obviously, these men did not know the scale of Zhou Hao's so-called trading. When Li Rulin first found out about Zhou Hao's stock market, he had already earned tens of millions or even hundreds of millions of dollars. Now, he controlled billions of dollars. Su Lin, who was beside her, looked at those men with disdain, a group of petty men. Fortunately, Rulin did not accept them back then. "Hee, you have a good eye. I see that your boyfriend is very good. He is neither humble nor polite, and I think he has already succeeded in his career." Her gaze swept across those men and fell on Zhou Hao. "Not bad." Li Rulin smiled. "What do you mean it's all right? Even your classmate's gift is 10,000 yuan. His career must be very impressive." Su Lin pointed at Li Rulin's nose and smiled. The two of them were good friends in high school. However, after high school, Li Rulin was admitted to South Sino Normal University while Su Lin went to the People's University of China to study business, so they did not have much contact. "I heard that after you graduated from university, you went to a high school in Xiang City to teach." Su Lin said to Li Rulin, "How is it? Is your job all right?" "Yes, it's all right. What about you? I heard you say that your work seems to be very busy." Li Rulin also asked. Su Lin sighed. Yeah, it wasn't as hard as it is now when I was in my third year. I'm now doing sales at an export company. Sigh, the boss of our company is a vampire. He would be happy if he could suck all the blood from us employees. Oh right, our company will move our headquarters to Xiang City in a period of time. When that time comes, won't we be able to see each other often? Su Lin, are you serious? Li Rulin was also very happy when she heard it. Su Lin also revealed a bright smile. At that time, as long as you are not afraid that I will disturb your two-person world, that will be fine. What are you talking about? Li Rulin somewhat shyly spat at her. At this moment, the pair of newlyweds walked to the stage in the lobby under the hotel staff's lead and greeted the guests. When Li Rulin saw her old classmate in a white wedding dress, not only did her eyes reveal a few traces of envy, she couldn't help but imagine herself and Zhou Hao standing there. Su Lin, who was by the side, laughed and said, Haha, Yuan Qingwen has also changed a lot. I remember that she used to wear those big framed glasses before. I didn't expect that she would be so beautiful now. Actually, the bride's appearance was also very good, but she was much inferior to the two of them. Yeah, in the past, she would blush whenever she spoke to a boy, but now she's married even earlier than us. Li Rulin also said. Since the pair of newlyweds appeared, everyone immediately took their seats. Zhou Hao sat beside Li Rulin, and Su Lin sat on the other side. He said to Li Rulin, Your classmates said that they will go to karaoke later. Are you going? He already knew the names of the men just now. The leader was called Xueqiao. He was the one who pursued Li Rulin the most in high school. Okay. Li Rulin answered happily. She would be leaving Yangzhou tomorrow, and she would have less chances to meet these classmates in the future, so she also wanted to spend more time with them. Zhou Hao turned to Su Lin and asked, Su Lin, what about you? Are you going? I am fine. Since you're all going, I'll join in on the fun. Su Lin shrugged her shoulders. Very quickly, the waiter brought a plate of dishes over. These dishes were of high quality and the taste was also not bad. However, to Zhou Hao, the food in these large hotels was not as delicious as the dishes made by Li Rulin. During the meal, the newlyweds toasted to the guests one by one. Li Rulin and Su Lin could only chat with their old classmate in a hurry. After the banquet ended, Li Rulin, Su Lin, and the group of old classmates left the hall and came to the hotel door. They were preparing to take a taxi to the famous karaoke in Yangzhou City. Just now, Xueqiao was already driving a black Toyota car over. His hands were placed on the windowsill and he smiled at Li Rulin and Su Lin. Two beauties, do you want to take a ride? His face was full of pride. He was indeed very proud because he was the only one among the classmates who had his own car. Moreover, his eyes only looked at Li Rulin and Su Lin, but he turned a blind eye to Zhou Hao, who was beside them, and deliberately ignored his existence. Li Rulin and Su Lin looked at Zhou Hao at the same time, and handed the decision to him. Zhou Hao spread his hands. It's rare to have a ride. Hee, then thank you, Mr. Xue. Without waiting for Xueqiao to speak, he opened the back seat of the car and let Li Rulin and Su Lin sit in. He himself sat in the front passenger seat. He even smiled at Xueqiao and said, Mr. Xue, you can drive now? Xueqiao originally only wanted to drive Li Rulin and Su Lin, but he did not expect Zhou Hao to be so sudden. It was not good to face Zhou Hao in front of the two girls, so he could only lightly snort and start the car. As for the other students, they sat in the taxi arranged by the hotel and followed behind. Carrying Zhou Hao and the rest, Xueqiao arrived at a family in Yangzhou called Huwei Karaoke. In the car, Xueqiao even said to Zhou Hao and the others, This karaoke is driven by Tiger Zhang, the boss of Yangzhou who is in the limelight. Speaking of which, you might not know, but I still have some connections with this boss. There are discounts even when I eat, drink, and have fun inside. Li Rulin, who was sitting at the back, found it funny when she saw Xueqiao's smug expression. That so-called Tiger of Yangzhou had already left the country because it did not dare to get involved in the fight between Zhou Hao and Liang Fengshan. But Xueqiao still felt proud to know him. All the high school students, including their partners, had a total of 30 to 40 people. Xueqiao specially opened a large room. When everyone entered, he held the microphone and said to everyone, I'll pay for tonight's expenses. No one can compete with me. Su Lin, who was sitting on the sofa, said to Li Rulin, I really can't stand his smug face. Forget it. Anyway, I don't know when we will be able to meet again in the future. Just treat it as accommodating. Li Rulin patted her hand and advised. At this time, Zhou Hao said to Li Rulin and Su Lin, I will go to the toilet. After saying that, he stood up and walked out of the room towards the toilet. After the convenience, Zhou Hao walked out of the bathroom. When Zhou Hao passed by the storeroom, he heard Xueqiao's voice from inside. Zhou Hao's hearing ability was outstanding. Even in this noisy environment, he could still hear the sounds coming from the storeroom. This guy can do it, right? Don't lie to me. I know your boss. It was Xue Qiao's voice. There was also a young male voice, Brother Xue. Don't worry. When have I ever given you fake goods? This thing came from Colombia. After eating it, the stone ladies became lewd. Brother Xue, wait for the God of Happiness competition tonight. Hee hee. Xue Qiao also let out an obscene laugh. All right, after the matter is done, there will naturally be benefits for you. Thank you, Brother Xue. Thank you, Brother Xue. The man hurriedly said. Zhou Hao, who was outside the door, narrowed his eyes. Listening to their conversation, the man had clearly given Xue Qiao something like aphrodisiac. As for the target Xue Qiao wanted to target, Zhou Hao immediately thought of Li Ruolin. Just as he was about to leave, Zhou Hao suddenly heard a faint female voice coming from the female restroom. It sounded familiar. He quickly left the storeroom and walked towards the female restroom. The female voice coming from inside was even clearer, but it sounded like Su Lin's. He heard Su Lin shouting from inside. Is there anyone outside? Can you come in and help me? I hurt my ankle and can't walk anymore. Zhou Hao looked around and saw Xue Qiao and a man in a waiter's uniform walking out of the storeroom. Since his back was facing Zhou Hao, neither of them saw Zhou Hao. After they left, there was no one else in the corridor. Zhou Hao hesitated for a while and heard Su Lin asking for help in the female restroom. He stepped into the female restroom. Su Lin, are you hurt? Walking into the female restroom, Zhou Hao saw Su Lin sitting on the ground in front of the washing table, rubbing her swollen left ankle. From Zhou Hao's angle, and from Su Lin's slightly open legs, he could faintly see the spring light in her skirt. Hearing Zhou Hao's voice, Su Lin looked up in shock. Zhou Hao, I heard your voice outside. There was no one else around, so I came in. Zhou Hao explained. Oh. Su Lin's face turned slightly red. After all, such a situation was indeed somewhat embarrassing. She said, the ground was too slippery just now. I accidentally fell and injured my leg. I couldn't even stand up. Zhou Hao quickly went over and grabbed her wrist with one hand and her waist with the other. He slowly helped her up. I'll help you go back. Zhou Hao's hand on her waist made Su Lin feel a little unnatural. She subconsciously moved further away from Zhou Hao and said, sorry to trouble you. You're welcome. Zhou Hao smiled. Although his face was very calm, he could feel Su Lin's slender waist. His heart could not help but jump a few times. Originally, with his genuine aura, he could quickly remove the blood clot on Su Lin's ankle. But the two of them were not familiar with each other. If he were to give her a massage so rashly, it would not be appropriate. Therefore, Zhou Hao did not do so. Supporting Su Lin back to the room, Zhou Hao saw Xue Qiao over there advising Li Ruolin to drink, while Li Ruolin was tactfully declining. Zhou Hao was angry in his heart. He knew Xue Qiao must have put medicine in that cup of wine. He supported Su Ning and walked over. Li Ruolin saw the two of them walk over and asked in surprise, Su Lin, what happened to you? Being supported back by someone else's boyfriend made Su Lin feel a little embarrassed. I accidentally slipped in the toilet. It was all thanks to Zhou Hao's help. Nothing much, right? Quickly sit down. Li Ruolin quickly let Su Lin sit down. Xue Qiao also said to Su Lin, the toilets here are quite slippery and you are also wearing high heels. Be careful. He pretended to be concerned, but his eyes were fixed on Su Lin's long legs, which were wrapped in flesh-colored stockings, and there was a trace of greed in his eyes. After that, he picked up the cup of beer and smiled to Li Ruolin. Ruolin, it was not easy for us to gather together, so you should at least reward us. Anyway, it is just a cup of beer. It is not easy to get drunk. As he spoke, he moved the cup towards Li Ruolin. Li Ruolin waved her hand and declined. Sorry, I really don't know how to drink. Ruolin really doesn't know how to drink. Why don't you let me drink on her behalf? Zhou Hao, who was beside Li Ruolin, said. Then, without waiting for Xue Qiao to refuse, he took the cup of beer and drank it all in one gulp. The other students all cheered for Zhou Hao's forthright attitude. Xue Qiao stared blankly as Zhou Hao handed the empty cup back to him. His expression changed, but he could not say anything. After the beer entered his stomach, Zhou Hao immediately felt a surge of heat coming from his body. He thought to himself that this glass of beer had indeed been tampered with. However, his body was different from ordinary people. He was not even afraid of the deadly poison of the Yama's smile, let alone this mere aphrodisiac. He didn't even need to circulate the genuine aura. He only needed to breathe in and out. The medicinal strength was dissolved. His eyes rolled and Xue Qiao picked up another cup of beer and passed it to Su Lin. Hee hee, Rulin has a boyfriend to help her. Su Lin, you are in charge. You don't have any more, right? Hee, do you want to give me some face? Zhou Hao, who was standing beside him, said with a faint smile. Su Lin just sprained her leg. She can't drink. Let me have this cup. He took the cup from Xueqiao and drank it all in one gulp. Everyone cheered for Zhou Hao once more. Su Lin also looked at Zhou Hao with some surprise. As for Xueqiao, his gaze was somewhat fierce, because he only bought 2 aphrodisiac pills from the man just now and put them in 2 cups of beer, but now they were all drunk by Zhou Hao. Zhou Hao smiled and said to Xueqiao, Mr. Xue, it's not that you look down on me, but that you think I'm not qualified to drink the bar you gave me? If it were not for the fact that Xueqiao dared to have ill intentions towards Li Ruolin in front of Li Ruolin and Su Lin, Zhou Hao would have broken his neck. No. At this time, Xueqiao could only suppress his anger. Sorry, I'm going to the toilet. After saying that, he walked out of the room with an ugly expression. What's wrong with him? Su Lin looked at Xueqiao, who had closed the door with great force, puzzled. Zhou Hao smiled. Maybe he drank too much and got anxious. Don't worry about him. At this time, someone at the side put the microphone in Zhou Hao and Li Ruolin's hands and asked them to sing a song together. Unable to decline the enthusiasm of the crowd, Zhou Hao and Li Ruolin could only cooperate. And what everyone gave them was the classic song of Lin Zixiang and Yi Qianwen, Choice. As soon as the 2 songs were sung, everyone clapped their hands together. Li Ruolin's voice was slightly thinner than Yi Qianwen's, and although she was not very good at singing, she was also not good at singing. But her voice was originally soft and smooth like the Jiangnan woman's, so it was also very pleasant to listen to. As for Zhou Hao, he made everyone a little surprised. Although his voice wasn't as mellow as Lin Zixiang's, it was still very magnetic and had its own taste. Moreover, he was very accurate in the rhythm of the song and its emphasis on the low pitch. Especially when he was singing, he looked at Li Ruolin with deep affection. His rich and emotional singing influenced everyone. On the other side, Su Lin saw Zhou Hao and Li Ruolin singing passionately. For some reason, there was a feeling of envy in her heart, especially towards Zhou Hao. That tall and slender figure, that handsome and resolute face, and that pleasant voice. To women, the lethality was too great. Many of the women present had unknowingly immersed themselves in Zhou Hao's singing. In their hearts, they really hoped that Zhou Hao would choose themselves. Not to mention the bustling crowd in the room. After Xueqiao came out, he fiercely kicked the wall of the corridor over there, causing the surrounding people who went to the toilet to look over. Isn't this Brother Xue? What's wrong? Who made our Brother Xue angry? A man walked over from that direction, followed by a few subordinates. Xueqiao looked up and saw a man wearing a black suit. His hair was combed until it was shiny and shiny. He looked like a newly promoted boss in Hong Kong gangster movies. Dog, isn't it me? Hee, I haven't seen you for quite some time. The man called Dog walked over and put his hand on Xueqiao's shoulder. He smiled and said, but now, no one calls me Dog. They all call me Boss. Xueqiao frowned. Boss? Didn't you follow Boss Zhang Hu? Why? Don't mention that tiger. The dog waved his hand. He ran away with his wife and son, leaving behind such a mess. My brothers thought highly of me, so they let me clean it up. Boss Zhang ran away? Xueqiao said in shock. What's going on? In his eyes, Zhang Hu was someone who could call the wind and summon the rain in Yangzhou, who could force a tiger like him to run away. The dog shrugged. Forget it. Anyway, it was not something to be proud of. All you need to know is that this Yangzhou is my territory from now on. You used to treat me pretty well. In the future, if you need anything, just ask me for help. Xueqiao didn't expect that this little hoodlum who had followed Zhang Hu around in the past would take over Zhang Hu's position and become the new boss of the Yangzhou's underworld. He could be considered a tactful person and immediately said, Boss Tong, in the future, you will take care of this little brother of yours. Ha 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 ha, don't say such polite words. Who's going to follow who? Dog patted Xueqiao on the shoulder and laughed. Oh right, why are you so happy to come here today? Come on, help me remove Brother Xue's list. I'll treat you tonight. Thinking of what happened in the room just now, Xueqiao said angrily, don't mention it. I originally wanted to get a class flower that I couldn't pursue in high school today, but I got in the way of A B** starred. That B** starred dared to mess with Brother Xue. Brother Xue, I'll help you with this. Dog was now a new rising star, so it naturally wanted to show off its power to its old friends. Furthermore, Xueqiao's family was a relatively famous tycoon in Yangzhou. If Dog wanted to gain a foothold in the underworld in the future, he could not do without Xueqiao's help. Thus, he wanted to use this opportunity to give him a favor. Seeing that the dog was willing to help, Xueqiao immediately became happy. This is great. Later, you can ask your brothers to help me teach that B** start a lesson. Hee hee, Brother Tong. Besides that group of flowers, there's also a very beautiful woman. I'll leave that to you, Brother Tong. Okay, then I won't be polite anymore. Ha 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 ha. The dog laughed heartily. Zhou Hao and the others stayed until past 11 o'clock at night before they dispersed. Since Su Lin had sprained her leg, Zhou Hao and Li Ruolin planned to send her back. Su Lin's home was nearby, so they were too lazy to call a taxi. However, Zhou Hao and Li Ruolin each supported Su Lin, and their movements were very slow. After taking 2 steps, Li Ruolin said to Zhou Hao, why don't you carry Su Lin on your back? It will be more convenient this way. Su Lin immediately said in embarrassment, This is not appropriate. No matter what, Zhou Hao is also yours. Li Ruolin stretched out her jade and pointed at Su Lin's head. Then what do you want? Do you want me to carry you? You are so heavy that I can't carry you. What? I am only less than 90 pounds. Su Lin clearly cared about her weight. In the end, Su Lin still received Li Ruolin's good intentions and let Zhou Hao carry her. However, she only discovered at the last minute that because she was wearing a dress, it would be very inconvenient to carry her. Zhou Hao could also be considered decisive and simply picked Su Lin up horizontally. A person weighing 90 pounds was not a problem for Zhou Hao at all. Su Lin, on the other hand, was hugged by someone else's boyfriend like this. It was not good for her to reach out and grab Zhou Hao's neck, so she could only shrink awkwardly in front of her chest. She even pretended to be carefree and joked to Li Ruolin, I'm sorry to make your Zhou Hao wait on me like this. You just have fun secretly. Li Ruolin did not have any other thoughts. If you are not my good friend, I would not be willing to let Zhou Hao serve you. As the person involved, Zhou Hao smiled and said, So you all think of me as a servant girl of the old society? You should feel honored to be a servant girl for 2 beauties. Su Lin smiled and said. At that moment, a few men came out of the alley and blocked Zhou Hao's way. These men were also holding steel pipes in their hands. They were also eyeing Zhou Hao and Li Ruolin covetously. Li Ruolin immediately grabbed Zhou Hao's arm and Su Lin also shrank in Zhou Hao's arms. Everyone, what is the matter? Zhou Hao calmly asked these men. You have offended someone you shouldn't have. The leading man said, then raised the steel pipe in his hand and waved it at Zhou Hao. Zhou Hao put down Su Lin, who was in his arms, and raised his right hand to firmly block that person's steel pipe. He also protected Su Lin. Su Lin, you and Sister Lan stay behind me. As he spoke, he let Li Ruolin support Su Lin to stand behind him. He lifted his left leg and kicked the man in front of him in the abdomen. The man was immediately kicked to the ground and could not get up. The other men looked at each other and immediately raised the weapon in their hands and rushed towards Zhou Hao. Zhou Hao shook his head. In his eyes, these ordinary people who did not know martial arts were no different from 3-year-old children who had no ability to resist. With a few moves, not only did he block all the attacks, he also blocked all of them. He even knocked them down. Su Lin, who was behind, saw Zhou Hao knock down these men with just a wave of his hand. That figure was really mighty, and she had a strong sense of security in her heart. She saw more than 10 men holding sticks and knives walk out of the alley, and one of the 2 men in the lead was surprisingly Xueqiao. Seeing the men who were knocked down by Zhou Hao, Xueqiao sneered at Zhou Hao and said, They are quite capable. Humph. Don't you see whose territory this is? How dare you offend my people? None of you will have a good ending. So it's you. Zhou Hao smiled, but not towards Xueqiao, but towards the dog beside Xueqiao. It's you. When Aguzi came out, he saw Zhou Hao's face clearly. This time, it was like a bolt from the blue. His entire body shook. Zhou Hao looked at him and said with a smile, Didn't you take Zhang Hu's 100,000 yuan and go out to hide? Why did you come back? It turned out that this dog was one of the 2 subordinates who drove Zhang Hu to Liang Fengshan's villa earlier. At that time, Zhang Hu knew that Liang Fengshan wouldn't let them go, so he gave them 100,000 each, allowing them to leave Yangzhou overnight. Therefore, the dog naturally recognized Zhou Hao. Back then, he was also there when Zhou Hao displayed his divine might in Zhang Hu's casino. He was lucky enough to keep his life, but he was very afraid of the unpredictable Zhou Hao. In front of Zhou Hao, the dog's legs were trembling, and a chill ran down its spine. This guy in front of him was someone that even its boss, Zhang Hu, was afraid of. Furthermore, the dog knew that even Liang Fengshan couldn't defeat Zhou Hao, and was now captured by Liang Zhoutang and brought back to the provincial capital. It was also because of this that he dared to stay in Yangzhou. Tong, do you know this guy? Xue Xiao obviously didn't expect Zhou Hao to know the dog, so he couldn't help but ask. Zhou Hao looked at the dog and the dozen or so men behind him with interest. He smiled and said, "What's wrong? You want to ambush me?" Xue Xiao snorted. "So what if I am? Who asked you to get in my way? I have taken a fancy to Rulin in high school, and you still dare to stop me from doing good? It's your mother who is tired of living." Just as he finished speaking, he saw the dog raise its hand and slap Xue Xiao. Slap. That clear and loud sound was heard from far away in the quiet street at night, causing Li Rulin and Su Lin to be stunned. Not to mention Li Rulin and Su Lin, even Xue Xiao himself was also baffled. He opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood and 2 teeth. Even though he was angry at the dog, he did not dare to make trouble for him. "Brother Tong, why are you?" Before he finished speaking, the dog gave him another slap and completely knocked him onto the ground. The dog scolded him. "You still dare to say that you got me killed this time?" He immediately looked at Zhou Hao and said respectfully, Mr. Zhou, I'm sorry. I don't know. You are the one this B***starred wants to deal with. You are magnanimous. Please spare me." It was this young man in front of him. Not only did he let the tiger of Yangzhou escape abroad, even the young master of the province couldn't do anything to him. Hee. Zhou Hao himself did not expect such a change in the situation. He pointed at Xue Xiao, who was lying on the ground, and said to the dog, "This guy wants to do bad things to my girlfriend. He also asked you to send someone to ambush me. If I don't let him remember, I don't know what kind of trouble he will cause in the future." Yes. The dog hurriedly said, "Then Mr. Zhou, what do you want to do with him?" Even if Zhou Hao said he wanted to kill Xue Xiao, the dog would still do it without hesitation. Anyway, it was not like they had never harmed anyone in the underworld. "Break his hands and let him remember this lesson," Zhou Hao said lightly. "It's getting late. I also want to go back with my girlfriend." The dog immediately bowed and said, "Mr. Zhou, take care." Thus, Zhou Hao carried Su Lin again and left with Li Rulin. Xue Xiao was dragged back into the karaoke by Dog's men. The dog said to Xue Xiao, "I'm sorry, Brother Xue. It's your fault for offending someone you shouldn't have. Don't say that it's me. Even my former boss, Zhang Hu, and young Master Liang couldn't afford to offend him." Xue Xiao knew that he had kicked a steel plate. However, Dog's subordinates had already pressed down on his body, lifting both of his arms up. The person beside him was also holding up a metal rod, clearly wanting to break his hands. Xue Xiao hurriedly shouted at the dog, "Brother Tong, don't. Brother Tong, don't. That guy has already left. Just let me go." The dog shook its head. "I'm really sorry. I didn't dare to disobey that person's words. I only did it to save my life. Brother, don't blame me." After saying that, he nodded to the person beside Xue Xiao. That person suddenly swung down the iron rod, and with a crisp sound, Xue Xiao's left arm was broken. While Xue Xiao screamed, the man waved the rod again and broke his other arm. The dog was not heartless. He let someone break Xue Xiao's arms and send him to the hospital. It was a good thing for him. On the other side, Zhou Hao and Li Rulin also sent Su Lin back to her house. Because Su Lin's parents did not live in Yangzhou. Therefore, Su Lin was the only one in the family. "I can't move, so I can't pour tea for you. You two can do whatever you want." Su Lin smiled at Zhou Hao and Su Lin. "What are you talking about?" Li Rulin smiled and asked Zhou Hao, "What happened just now?" Zhou Hao told them that he saw Xue Xiao buying aphrodisiac and wanted to make a move on the two of them. Li Rulin and Su Lin heard that it was dangerous, and at the same time, they looked down on Xue Xiao even more. At this time, Su Lin looked at Zhou Hao with a very strange expression. "You drank the 2 glasses of wine that were drugged. Then, are you all right?" She thought that since those were aphrodisiac, it should be effective for men to take it. If Zhou Hao took aphrodisiac and became ferocious, what should she do? Li Rulin was originally his girlfriend, so she was not afraid. He was still a virgin. However, she secretly glanced at Zhou Hao. A strange thought suddenly arose in her heart. If he really acts up, will I resist? Zhou Hao seemed to have seen Su Lin's worry and said with a smile, "Because my body is special, I am not afraid of those things. You can rest assured about this. Besides, isn't Sister Lan there?" What am I doing?" Li Rulin said to Zhou Hao with a red face. She said to Su Lin, "It's getting late. Rest well. We are going to Xiang City tomorrow. Let's call each other. Don't forget to look for me when you reach Xiang City." "Yes, of course," Su Lin said. After Zhou Hao and Li Rulin left, Su Lin still remembered Zhou Hao. She remembered how young Zhou Hao was and how handsome and tall he was. Not only did he sing well, he could also protect her in the face of danger. Even those in the underworld feared him. A man like this was the dream of a woman. Ruolin is so lucky, Su Lin muttered to herself. After Zhou Hao and Li Ruolin returned home, Li Chufan and his wife were already asleep. After taking a shower, the two of them shared a bed with each other. Zhou Hao hugged Li Ruolin and smiled. Sister Lan, it's bad. The aphrodisiac I drank just now is about to flare up. You have to save me. Liar. You little pervert. Don't touch where. Li Ruolin twisted her body in Zhou Hao's arms, and the two of them started going crazy again. The next day, Li Ruolin's family bid farewell to the neighbors that they had known for many years. They left Windy Street with Zhou Hao and left Yangzhou. They took a plane from Nanjing to Guangzhou. In less than half a day, they arrived at Guangzhou and took a taxi to Xiang City. I'm going to live here from now on. Through the window, Li Chufan looked at the scenery of Xiang City. Compared to the Yangzhou, the Xiang City's development was not that deep, and it was not as beautiful as the Yangzhou. However, the living standards of the Xiang City were not bad, and the facilities in the city were more complete. Furthermore, Li Chufan and his wife were not the kind of people who were passionate about materialistic life, so they were very satisfied with the Xiang City. Zhou Hao brought them to the house he bought for the two old men in Wanluo district, which was built 2 years ago. Although it was still far from a mansion designed for the rich like the lake viewing villa, it was also a very high-end residential area in Fragrant City. This house was on the 18th floor, and it was also a high-level building. One could see most of the scenery in Xiang City from above. The interior of the house was also designed in a simple and comfortable manner. The style of the house was a traditional style of China, and it gave people an ancient feeling. Li Chufan and his wife were very satisfied as soon as they entered the room, especially the books in the study that were related to various majors and academics. Zhou Hao had specially asked people to search for them, and they were what Li Chufan, who was a technical person, liked the most. After packing Li Chufan and his wife's room number, Zhou Hao said to them, "Uncle and Aunt, I have transferred this house to your name. You can live in peace now." Downstairs was the Northern City Market. There is also a bus station there. It is very convenient. Zhou Hao said that the house had already been transferred to the two of them. Li Chufan wanted to refuse, but when he thought about how Zhou Hao would be his son-in-law in the future, he didn't say anything. In his heart, he praised Zhou Hao even more. "All right, Zhou, you will be going to Beijing in a few days. When will we meet your mother?" Xiaoruqiu asked Zhou Hao, and Li Ruolin also looked at Zhou Hao. Zhou Hao smiled and said, "Tomorrow. I will bring you guys to see her tomorrow." After that, Zhou Hao sent Li Ruolin to Yining Middle School because she had previously applied for 2 months of long leave from the school. Now that the problem had been solved, she naturally had to sell her leave. On the way, Li Ruolin asked Zhou Hao, "Are you really going to take my parents to see your mother tomorrow?" "Of course it's true. Do you think I would lie to you?" Zhou Hao smiled. "But your mother still doesn't know about us." Li Ruolin said worriedly, "If she knows about our matter, will she not agree?" The two of them had a genuine teacher-student relationship. Nowadays, teacher-student relationships were not popular. Very few people in society would agree with this kind of relationship. Zhou Hao kissed Li Ruolin on the forehead. "I'm already prepared to tell my mom. Don't worry, my mom has always been tolerant and magnanimous. She probably won't oppose us." Actually, Zhou Hao himself was not sure what kind of reaction Yin Tong would have if she knew about the matter between him and Li Ruolin, because in Yin Tong's eyes, Wang Shijuan was her future wife. But Zhou Hao also did not want Li Ruolin to be wronged. After all, in Zhou Hao's heart, her status was not lower than Wang Shijuan. When they returned to school, Zhou Hao and Li Ruolin naturally resumed their relationship as teachers and students. The other teachers were very concerned about Li Ruolin and asked her if something had happened at home and if she needed help. While Li Ruolin was thanking them for their concern, she also officially took a leave of absence from the principal. The English teachers in Yining Middle School were only just enough to handle the teaching tasks. Previously, in order to replace Li Ruolin's class, they had caused the entire grade's English class to be badly battered. Now that Li Ruolin had returned, the school would naturally cancel her vacation immediately. As for Zhou Hao, he had also returned to his home in Guanghu Villa. He had already made up his mind to tell Yin Tong about him and Li Ruolin tonight. But Zhou Hao was indeed a little nervous. After all, the relationship between him and Li Ruolin was against ethics. Zhou Hao hadn't returned home for more than half a month. He took a hot bath after he returned. Then, he comfortably lay on the soft sofa and turned on the stereo, letting the melodious singing flow in the hall. This was the famous singer Maria. Zhao Yuqi knew that Zhou Hao liked to listen to English songs, so she specially asked someone to bring it back from Hong Kong for Zhou Hao. She was admiring Maria. When Kelly's sharp but not ear-piercing sound of a dolphin was heard, there was the sound of a key at the door. Zhou Hao immediately jumped up from the sofa and rushed to the door to open it. He originally thought that it was Yin Tong who had come back, but he did not expect Yin Qingqing to be standing at the door. The current Yin Qingqing was very different from when she just came out of Huayu village. She was wearing a black lotus collar coat. She was wearing a pair of long female pants, and her face looked much more confident. However, the gentleness and kindness in her eyes did not change. Sister Qingqing, Zhou Hao called out happily. Xiao Hao, you're back? Yin Qingqing asked in surprise. She couldn't help but reach out and hug Zhou Hao. She even wanted to touch the back of his head. But Zhou Hao was much taller than her now, so she couldn't just casually pat the back of Zhou Hao's head like before. Instead, she patted him on the back. After welcoming Yin Qingqing into the room and helping her place the bag, Zhou Hao smiled and said, Cousin Qingqing, during this period of time, have you gotten used to living in Xiang City? Yes, Aunt and Aunt Pinger are very good to me. Yin Qing nodded and smiled. I heard from my mother that you are learning how to settle accounts with Madame Lu. How is it? Are you all right? Yin Qingqing said. At the beginning, I did not know anything. Fortunately, Aunt and Aunt Ping taught me patiently. Now, I know about the management of Mrs. Zhou's restaurant and romance house. Aunt and Aunt Pinger are so awesome. They can manage so many branches accounts. I still have a lot of things to learn from them. Why are you back so early? Zhou Hao asked. It was still 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Usually, Yin Tong and Lu Shiping only came back at 4 or 5 o'clock. However, Yin Qingqing's cheeks were flushed red. I. She secretly glanced at Zhou Hao. She pursed her lips and said, I'm not feeling well. So Aunt Ping asked me to come back and rest first. Not feeling well? Zhou Hao asked, but he immediately understood. When he opened the door, he saw Yin Qingqing covering her abdomen with her hand. Now that she was so shy, it should be the problem that women usually encountered. He asked Yin Qingqing, Cousin Yin Qingqing, are you suffering from pain? Hearing Zhou Hao's words, Yin Qingqing's face became even hotter and redder, but she also suppressed her shyness and nodded slightly. You have to have a good rest now. Come, I'll accompany you back to your room. Zhou Hao hurriedly supported Yin Qingqing and walked towards her room. After entering the room, Zhou Hao saw that there were a few books on economic management and accounting on the desk. They all had bookmarks in them. Yin Qingqing was obviously working very hard to learn this kind of knowledge. Zhou Hao felt relieved. With Yin Qingqing's dexterous mind and Lu Shiping's guidance from the side, it should not be too difficult for Yin Qingqing to learn this kind of knowledge, especially since she was learning and practicing at the same time. The effect was much better than those students who only studied theory in school. After letting Yin Qingqing take off her coat and lie on the bed, Zhou Hao found a warm water bag and handed it to Yin Qingqing after charging and heating it up. Come, Sister Qingqing, put this on your stomach. It can relieve pain. I'll go and get some medicine for you. Xiao Hao, no, it doesn't need to be so troublesome. I will be fine in a while. Yin Qing said with a red face. She had suffered from severe pain before, but in the village, it was difficult for these women's illnesses to be exposed to others. Therefore, Yin Qingqing had only endured it silently when she encountered this situation in the past. This won't do. This kind of thing can't be ignored. You still have to go to the hospital for a detailed checkup, because some of the pain is caused by the mutation of reproductive organs. If it's serious, it might affect reproduction. Zhou Hao said. It was said that this might affect reproduction, and the matter of family succession was especially important in the countryside. It was very difficult for a woman who could not give birth to a child to raise her head, and every woman hoped to give birth to a child for the man they loved. Therefore, Yin Qingqing immediately became nervous. No, she can't give birth. What should we do? You don't have to worry so much. Zhou Hao comforted her. I think your condition should be the primary pain. It was common among teenage girls. It was not necessarily the disease of reproductive organs. Cousin Qingqing, you should rest here. I will get you some medicine. After saying that, he left Yin Qingqing's room. Zhou Hao did not go to find those painkillers. Instead, he drove straight to the nearby pharmacy and grabbed 2 sticks of medicine. Because in the traditional Chinese medicine, pain was usually caused by qi stagnation, blood stasis, and blood stasis. If you don't understand, then pain. This was the most fundamental viewpoint of the traditional Chinese medicine. In Xin Nong's herbal classics, there was a prescription that was specially used to regulate blood and qi in order to achieve the effect of treating pain. This was also one of the healthcare products that Zhou Hao wanted to promote in the future. Because pain was a common and vexing problem among women, the market for this prescription was very broad. After catching the medicine, Zhou Hao personally brewed the medicine for Yin Qingqing. When he walked into Yin Qingqing's room again, Zhou saw that she was already sleeping on the bed. The effect of the warm water bag was still very obvious. Under the soothing pain, Yin Qingqing slept very peacefully. She watched as she lay on the bed. Yin Qingqing was like a sleeping princess. He sat by the bed and gently stroked the hair on Yin Qingqing's forehead. He then tucked her under the blanket. Yin Qingqing's expression was very quiet, making Zhou heart calm down. Looking at the beautiful and charming Yin Qingqing in close proximity, Zhou heartbeat suddenly sped up. He could not help but slowly bend down and slowly approach Yin Qingqing's cherry-like red lips. Zhou was very nervous, afraid that Yin Qingqing would suddenly wake up. The distance between the two slowly closed. Zhou's mouth also got closer and closer to Yin Qingqing's cherry lips. Zhou could even smell the delicate fragrance that Yin Qingqing exhaled. Finally, Zhou felt a softness on his lips. It was like cotton candy, soft and sweet. Although this kind of wonderful feeling was very confusing, Zhou still tasted it lightly, because he was afraid that Yin Qingqing would suddenly wake up. After parting Yin Qingqing's soft lips and seeing Yin Qingqing's beautiful face, Zhou couldn't help but kiss her forehead again before leaving the room to take care of the medicine. However, Zhou didn't know that after he left the room, Yin Qingqing on the bed suddenly opened her eyes. Her face instantly turned as red as an apple. She reached out and touched her lips before touching her forehead. Her beautiful eyes were covered with a watery mist. After a long while, she used the blanket to cover her head with a moan. Her face was still burning. When Zhou finished brewing the medicine and brought it in, Yin Qingqing pretended to have just woken up and asked Zhou, "Xiao, have I slept for a long time?" Zhou shook his head and smiled. "No, just for a while. Cousin Qingqing, I brewed the medicine for you. Drink it." "Thank you, Xiao." Yin Qingqing looked deeply at Zhou. After Yin Qingqing drank the medicine, Zhou said to her, "Cousin Qingqing, you should have a good rest. I will call you after dinner."
Yes.
Yin Qingqing nodded and lay down again. Zhou also carried the bowl out. Yin Tong opened the door and came in as soon as she came out of Yin Qingqing's room. When she saw Zhou, she said in surprise, "Xiao, you are back. Why didn't you tell me in advance?" "I wanted to give you a surprise," Zhou said with a smile. Yin Tong came over and touched Zhou's face. "Quick, let Mom see if Xiao has lost weight." "Oh right. Didn't you go with Jimming to find the medicinal herbs? Why did you suddenly come back? Where's Jimming? He's with you?" "No, Jimming is still looking. I came back first." Zhou told Yin Tong about what happened after he heard that Li Ruolin took a long leave from school. He went to Jiangsu to look for Li Ruolin. Later, he met Liang Fengshan and other things. When Yin Tong heard this, she suddenly understood. So that's how it is. At that time, I was wondering if something happened to Teacher Li's family. I didn't think that her family would encounter such a thing. What about Teacher Li's parents? Their house was going to be demolished. What should we do now? I brought them all to Xiang City because I want to invite Uncle Li to work at my beverage company, Zhou said. Yin Tong nodded. That's good too. They will have a place to stay. Zhou said to Yin Tong, "By the way, Mom, Teacher Li and her parents want to see you tomorrow. Meet me? Why do you want to see me?" Yin Tong asked doubtfully. Zhou hesitated for a moment, then pulled Yin Tong to sit on the sofa. He took a deep breath and then looked at Yin Tong seriously. He said slowly, "Mom, there is actually something I want to tell you." Yin Tong saw Zhou's serious look and could not help but laugh. "What is it? It is rare for you to be so serious." Zhou opened his mouth and wanted to tell Yin Tong about what happened between him and Li Ruolin, but on second thought, he didn't know how she would react if he told Yin Tong this. So he asked Yin Tong, "Mom, didn't we watch TVB's The Gargoyle Couple? What do you think of Yang Gua and Little Dragon Girl in the movie?" "Yang Gua and Little Dragon Girl?" Yin Tong smiled and said, "Very good. Gu Tianla is very handsome. Li Ruodong is also quite pretty." Zhou quickly said, "No, mother. I'm not asking you about Gu Tianla and Li Ruodong. I'm saying that Yang Gua and the Little Dragon Girl are related to their master and disciple, but they dared to go against the laws of the world and fall in love with each other. Do you agree with that? You can't say that you don't agree, right? You're just moved by their love." Yin Tong spoke out her true feelings. Although they are master and disciple, and they have encountered so many difficulties, they have never left each other. In the end, there was still a lover who ended up together. This is very gratifying. What if a teacher and student fall in love in real life? What do you think? Zhou asked immediately. Yin Tong tilted her head and said, "There are many factors to this. First of all, it depends on whether they truly love each other. I feel that if the two of them truly love each other, the shackles and pressure of the secular world will be able to withstand it." "Oh, Mom, So you're quite open-minded. Zhou Hao relaxed a little and smiled. In fact, Yin Tong's open-mindedness, on one hand, was because of her tolerant attitude towards people. On the other hand, it was also largely influenced by the television series. Nowadays, love dramas such as Qionyao were popular. Most of the love stories were filled with bitter love. It was especially easy to infect a woman like Yin Tong, who had a lot of experience, which made them have a more tolerant attitude towards love. Wait, why did you suddenly ask about these things? Yin Tong knocked Zhou Hao's forehead. Why does a child care about his master and disciple dating? What did Yang Guo and Little Dragon Girl do to you? Actually, Sister Lan and I are the modern version of Yang Guo and Little Dragon Girl, Zhou Hao muttered to himself. Yin Tong asked curiously, What? What Yang Guo and Little Dragon Girl? Mom, do you remember? Back then when I fell into Qiuning Mountain with Teacher Li, I was trapped in a cave. We even met a mysterious person who lived in seclusion inside. Zhou Hao said to Yin Tong. Yes. Yin Tong nodded. Your martial arts was taught by that strange person. You told us before. Actually, during my cultivation, I experienced qi deviation, Zhou Hao said. Qi deviation? Yin Tong asked in surprise. It turns out that there will really be qigong deviation? Then are you all right? There won't be any sequelae, right? Yin Tong immediately became nervous when she heard Zhou Hao say that he had qi deviation before. Zhou Hao shook his head. No, Mom, don't worry. However, what I want to say is that when I was mentally deranged, I did something very, very wrong. At this time, Yin Tong had already felt that something was not right, but she still asked, Is it? What mistake? Zhou Hao looked up at his mother for a moment, then lowered his head and said, At that time, my mind was not clear, and I had lost my mind. So I bullied Teacher Li, who was with me. Although it had been a long time and Li Ruolin had become a happy little girl by his side, Zhou Hao still felt very guilty when this matter was brought up. Bully? Yin Tong's heart was lifted by Zhou Hao's words. What do you mean by bullying? That's what you mean. Just like when he was young and got into trouble when he was young and was discovered by Yin Tong. Zhou Hao looked at her guiltily. Of course, Yin Tong knew what he meant. What else could she mean by bullying a girl? Didn't she also think that Zhou Hao bullied Yang Jiabao? Even though Zhou Hao really put it into practice later on. Then you and Teacher Li, Yin Tong still did not dare to be sure. We are the modern version of Yang Guo and Little Dragon Girl. Zhou Hao smiled bitterly. Yin Tong knocked Zhou Hao's head hard. You can still laugh? What Yang Guo and Little Dragon Girl? You still think you are extraordinary now. This. Aya, how can this be? You and Teacher Li. Can't. Zhou Hao grabbed her arm. Mom. You just said that you were touched by the love between Yang Guo and Little Dragon Girl. How can that be the same? Yin Tong said, Those are television dramas. No matter how touched Yang Guo and Little Dragon Girl's love was, it had nothing to do with her. As the saying goes, only when the matter is at hand will you know the true pain. Now that her son was involved with his teacher, Yin Tong naturally had a different feeling. But didn't you say just now? As long as the two of them truly love each other, they are not afraid of the shackles and pressure of the secular world. Yin Tong was really vexed. It turned out that Zhou Hao had been trying to trick her earlier. Now, he had lifted a stone and smashed it on her feet. But she still said, But you and Teacher Li, you have a teacher-student relationship, and Teacher Li is older than you. Zhou Hao said, Sister Lan is only 19 years old this year, and she is only older than me by 3 years. Didn't you say that a third-year female student carries a golden brick? Why did you call Teacher Li Sister Lan? Yin Tong noticed that Zhou Hao's way of addressing Li Ruolin had changed. Could it be that Teacher Li also accepted the relationship with you? At the beginning, Sister Lan was also unwilling to forgive me. But later on, something happened and I spent a lot of effort to finally obtain Sister Lan's forgiveness. Mom, Uncle Li and Aunt Li have already regarded me as their son-in-law. You child. You are still so young. How can you do such a thing? Yin Tong said angrily. Zhou Hao immediately stood up and walked in front of Yin Tong. Mom, look at me. I am not like a child anymore. Ever since I practiced martial arts, my body has become like an adult. Yin Tong looked at Zhou Hao's body, which was bigger than an average adult's body. She shook her head and said, You are still not an adult after all. Many countries' laws clearly stated that having sex with minors was considered the crime of rape. Although Zhou Hao was a boy and there was nothing to lose, it was still not appropriate. At this time, Zhou Hao sat down and looked at Yin Tong very seriously. Mom, don't tell me you want to be like Huang Rong and separate Sister Lan and me. That's why you're happy. Yin Tong was at a loss for words. Thinking about it, she really did resemble that Huang Rong who stopped Yanghua and Little Dragon Girl from being together. But when she saw Zhou Hao, she became angry again. If you are with Teacher Li, then what about you? What about Shijuan? Don't think that we don't know that you also have bad intentions towards Shijuan. Humph. Humph. Madame Lu and I have seen it all. You and Teacher Li are like this now. Then what are you going to do with Shijuan? This. Zhou Hao scratched his head and looked at Yin Tong with some fear, but he still bit the bullet and said, Mom, actually I will not let go of Shijuan. Won't let go? How can you not let go? Do you think you are still in the old society? You can have 3 wives and 4 concubines. Yin Tong was completely enraged by Zhou Hao, because the most recognized daughter-in-law in her heart was Wang Shijuan, and now, Zhou Hao's actions could be said to be disloyal to Wang Shijuan. However, she heard Zhou Hao muttering to himself, It's not like there are no 3 wives and 4 concubines now. It's just that the situation is different. Yin Tong immediately reached out and pinched Zhou Hao's ear. What did you say, kid? Mom, didn't you teach me to be responsible for what I do since I was young? Being the person in charge? Now that I am like this with Sister Lan, do you want me to be irresponsible? Zhou Hao said, Also, if I give up on Shijuan, would you be willing to do so? Can you bear it? Yin Tong was stifled by Zhou Hao's words, and then she pinched his ear in anger. You be ****starred. How old are you? You already know how to be biased towards Qin Mu and Chu Chu? Then you will still have to grow up? Let me ask you, even if you don't give up on Shijuan, what can you do? Our China is monogamy. Who do you want to get your marriage certificate with? Actually, marriage certificates are just a formality. You don't have to care about it so much. No, Zhou Hao said in a low voice. Don't worry about it. Yin Tong said angrily to Zhou Hao. Do you want them to follow you without any distinction? Zhou Hao said, At most, I can go to a country that allows polygamy and get the marriage certificate. It should be fine. Yin Tong also knew that in this world, there were also some countries that allowed polygamy. They did not need to officially become their citizens. They just needed to spend some money to get their legal marriage certificate. But she still said, What about Shijuan? Does Shijuan know about the matter between you and Li Ruolin? Since Zhou Hao and Li Ruolin were already like this, she naturally should not call Li Ruolin as a teacher. She still doesn't know. So I think Mom shouldn't tell her first. When the time is right in the future, I will naturally confess to her. Zhou Hao said, Didn't you hurt Shijuan even more? You sigh. You child. If this kind of thing happened to another man, Yin Tong would definitely scold him without any scruples. But this was her own son, so Yin Tong was in a dilemma. She earnestly said, Xiao Hao, Shijuan is a good girl. I hope you can cherish her and protect her well. Sigh. I hope she won't blame us when she finds out. It was us who let her down. I know, Mom. I will treat Shijuan well. Zhou Hao said, By the way, Mom, when you go to see Uncle Li and the others tomorrow, remember to help me. They still do not know that I am Sister Lan's student. You. Yin Tong glared at Zhou Hao. You caused trouble outside, and even asked me to help you wipe your butt. Although she said so, she was still her son. After Yin Tong got angry, she would still cooperate with Zhou Hao to cover it up for him. When Wang Shijuan returned from school, she was pleasantly surprised to see Zhou Hao. If Yin Tong wasn't there, she wouldn't be able to resist jumping into Zhou Hao's arms and enjoying the warmth and breath that Zhou Hao had left for a long time. After Yin Tong found out about Zhou Hao and Li Ruolin, she felt guilty towards Wang Shijuan and became even more kind and gentle to her. During dinner, she even cooked Wang Shijuan's favorite steamed base and the bone of the capital. After dinner, Wang Shijuan returned to the other side to do her homework. She had previously said that she had to study hard and help Zhou Hao manage the company after graduation. She had also been working hard for this, making Yin Tong's heart ache even more for her future daughter-in-law. Wang Shijuan was doing her homework in her room, but Zhou Hao's figure kept appearing in her mind, making her unable to calm down. She could not help but repeat Zhou Hao's name on the draft paper, and then she stared blankly at the page full of Zhou Hao. Suddenly, there was a knocking sound from the window in front of her. She looked up and saw the Zhou Hao she was missing standing outside, smiling at her. Zhou Hao. Wang Shijuan immediately walked over and opened the window. Studying in the room all the time will not have a good effect. Come out and smell the fragrance of flowers and look at the stars. Zhou Hao said with a smile. Wang Shijuan had never been able to reject Zhou Hao's request. She smiled and nodded, then pushed open the door and walked to the garden outside. Zhou Hao also came over and held her hand as he walked in the sky garden that was like a cloud. The quiet night sky was filled with the strong fragrance of flowers. Below was the night view of Xiang City. The television tower on the mountain in the distance was emitting a soft yellow light, reflecting the light of the stars in the sky. Wang Shijuan felt that as long as she was with Zhou Hao, no matter where she was, she would be happy and sweet. The two of them sat on the swing in the middle of the garden. Wang Shijuan naturally placed her head on Zhou Hao's shoulder. The two of them hugged each other silently. No one spoke. No one wanted to ruin this quiet and romantic moment. Zhou Hao, it's good to be with you, Wang Shijuan said sincerely. And I will never leave you for the rest of my life. The same goes for you. You will never leave me for the rest of your life. Zhou Hao put his face on Wang Shijuan's head and gently stroked her hair. Yin Tong's previous words also made him a little worried. He was afraid that Wang Shijuan would get hurt after knowing about the matter between him and Li Ruolin. Furthermore, Li Ruolin was not the only woman by Zhou Hao's side. There was also Zhao Yuqin, Yang Jiabao, Situ Jianying, and Yin Qingqing. Even Zhou Hao could not forget Gao Jingyi, who was in the same class as him. Among these women, only Zhao Yuqin and Situ Jianying knew that Zhou Hao had other women by his side. Zhao Yuqin had been very generous from the beginning and unconsciously gave off the bearing of a big woman. Situ Jianying was more obedient to Zhou Hao, and she even deliberately made friends with Wang Shijuan for Zhou Hao. As for the rest of the people, putting Gao Jingyi aside, Zhou Hao felt that Li Ruolin seemed to have faintly sensed the existence of other women, but Li Ruolin had never said it out loud. Therefore, Zhou Hao felt that even if his matter was revealed in the end, Li Ruolin would not find it too hard to accept. The ones that gave Zhou Hao the biggest headache were Wang Shijuan and Yang Jiabao. Yang Jiabao was a pampered young miss. She had a strong possessive desire towards the things that she liked. If he knew about the existence of other women, Zhou Hao believed that she would be the one with the most intense reaction. As for Wang Shijuan, Zhou Hao believed that even if Wang Shijuan knew that he had other women, she would not leave him, just like he would not leave her. However, Wang Shijuan's personality was the most delicate and tactful among all the girls. Even strangers would unconsciously develop a kind of pity and love for her when they saw her, let alone Zhou Hao, who loved her so deeply. It did not mean that Wang Shijuan would have any intense behavior. Instead, she might be the quietest one among the girls, but it was precisely because of this that Zhou Hao felt the most guilty. Thinking of Wang Shijuan's various benefits, Zhou Hao could not help but hug her even more tightly and muttered to himself, "Shijuan, no one can let you leave me. We will be together for the rest of our lives." Wang Shijuan could not know what Zhou Hao was thinking. She only thought that he was deeply loyal to her, so she leaned closer to him and smiled sweetly. "No one can let me leave you. We are going to be together for the rest of our lives." While the two of them were hugging each other, Zhou Hao suddenly felt a gentle and graceful gaze staring at the two of them. He raised his head to look, only to see the corner of his clothes that was left behind when the figure turned around. But even if it was the corner of his clothes that disappeared in the blink of an eye, Zhou Hao could still recognize it. He remembered that the corner of the clothes was the shirt that he had bought for Yin Qingqing. So he was almost certain. That person just now was Yin Qingqing. Actually, even if he did not say it himself, with the good relationship Wang Shijuan had with Yin Qingqing now, Yin Qingqing would definitely know about the relationship between them from Wang Shijuan's mouth. At this moment, Zhou Hao finally felt it in his heart. Sometimes, having more women was also a kind of trouble. The next day, in order to avoid Wang Shijuan and Yin Qingqing, Zhou Hao decided not to receive Li Chufan and the others at home. Instead, he booked a room in Tianbin Hotel. He invited Li Ruolin and her family there. In order to meet Li Chufan and his wife, Yin Tong even specially bought some chicken breast and bird's nest health supplements. At noon, Li Ruolin came to Tianbin Hotel with Li Chufan and Xiaoruqiu, while Zhou Hao and Yin Tong were already waiting for them there. Li Ruolin's heart immediately tensed up when she saw Yin Tong. After all, she was her son's teacher. This relationship was a little difficult to sort out. Yin Tong, on the other hand, had a smile on her face as she walked towards Li Chufan and Xiaoruqiu. "These two are Big Brother Li and Mrs. Li, right? I am Xiao Hao's mother, Yin Tong. I am very happy to meet you too." She warmly invited Li Chufan and Xiaoruqiu into the room. "Actually, I have long wanted to meet Big Brother Li and Mrs. Li." Initially, Li Chufan was worried that Zhou Hao's family would be so rich that Yin Tong would dislike the Li family. But now, seeing Yin Tong being so friendly, he felt relieved in his heart. Xiaoruqiu even passed a smiling jar to Yin Tong. "Madame Zhou, this is the sauce cooked by our family. It tastes very good. Take it back and have a taste." Thank you, thank you." Yin Tong happily received the small jar. On the other side, Li Ruolin quietly pulled Zhou Hao over and asked in a worried voice, "Xiao Hao, your mother, she—" Zhou Hao did not say anything. Instead, he smiled and made an okay gesture to Li Ruolin. Seeing Zhou Hao's gesture and seeing Yin Tong and her parents getting along so well, Li Ruolin was slightly relieved. At this moment, Yin Tong waved at Li Ruolin and Zhou Hao. What are you two standing there for? Come over and sit down. Zhou Hao brought Li Ruolin over and sat beside Yin Tong. Li Ruolin timidly called out to Yin Tong, Aunt Yin. Yin Tong answered with a smile and then said to Li Chufan and his wife, Actually, Ruolin and I have already met a few times. Ruolin is really a good girl. I have always wanted to marry a girl like Ruolin. That would be a great fortune. Actually, what Yin Tong said was not all lies. In the past when the parents would meet, she had indeed seen Li Ruolin. Many parents had a good impression of the beautiful and generous Li Ruolin. At that time, Yin Tong was also thinking about who would be able to marry a good girl like Li Ruolin. It would be a blessing from her previous life. But she did not expect that Li Ruolin would be captured by her son after such a long walk. Li Chufan and his wife meant that Yin Tong meant that Li Ruolin had specially seen her parents before. Li Chufan also smiled and said, Your family's Zhou is also a rare and outstanding talent. Ruolin can be with him. It should be Ruolin's good fortune. After chatting for a while, Zhou Hao told the waiter to serve the dishes. Since they were not socializing, he did not order those flashy but expensive dishes. He chose some of the specialty Guangdong cuisines. Yin Tong was not a domineering upstart to begin with. That was why she got along well with Li Chufan and his wife, which made Zhou Hao and Li Ruolin feel very gratified when they saw it. By the way, Madame Zhou, when did the marriage between Zhou and Ruolin be settled? Li Chufan suddenly asked. Zhou Hao was shocked by Li Chufan's words. The food he had just eaten was stuck in his throat. Li Ruolin, who was beside him, saw him and quickly patted his back. She was so considerate that she asked him to swallow the food. At the same time, she reproached him. Why are you eating so fast? Take your time. Yin Tong naturally knew that Zhou Hao was frightened by Li Chufan's words. She glanced at him lightly and thought that he should know the trouble now. However, when she saw Li Ruolin so nervous about her son, she also felt very comforted in her heart. In fact, Li Ruolin was also a rare daughter-in-law candidate. Any mother-in-law who saw her would like her. She smiled at Li Chufan and said, Actually, I have also thought about letting them get married. However, they are still young and Ruolin only taught for 1 or 2 years in school. There is no need to be so anxious. After all, if they have children after marriage, it will have a certain impact on their career and life. Madame Zhou is right. There's no need to be in such a hurry, Li Chufan smiled and said. In fact, he did not really want to urge Zhou Hao and Li Ruolin to get married. He just wanted to see if Yin Tong would object to their marriage. Now that he saw that Yin Tong did not oppose Zhou Hao and Li Ruolin, he could relax. After dinner, when they left Tianbin Hotel, Zhou Hao led Li Chufan and Xiaoruqiu in front. Li Ruolin deliberately slowed down her footsteps and walked beside Yin Tong. Aunt Yin. I'm sorry. Yin Tong smiled gently. Actually, I should be the one to apologize to you on Xiao Hao's behalf. He has already told me everything that happened in Choning Mountain. Li Ruolin was shocked when she heard Yin Tong say that Zhou Hao had told her about the Choning Mountain. At the same time, her face turned slightly red as she tried to protect Zhou Hao. Aunt Yin, don't blame Xiao Hao. He couldn't control himself at that time. He would only do such a thing if he lost his mind. It's not his fault. Yin Tong grabbed Li Ruolin's hand. To think that you would still protect him even after he did such a thing to you. He is really lucky. Li Ruolin asked happily, then Aunt Yin, you are not against me being with Xiao Hao anymore? Children have their own grandchildren. I can't care that much. Yin Tong shook her head and smiled. However, it is better not to have other people involved in your matters. After all, people nowadays are still not used to this kind of thing. If this matter is spread out, it will not be good for you and Xiao Hao. Aunt Yin, don't worry. We know what to do. When Li Ruolin heard that Yin Tong did not oppose her being with Zhou Hao, all the worries in her heart were swept away. Yin Tong also noticed Li Ruolin's change, and when she thought about it in her heart, she really felt that the world was like a chess piece. Li Ruolin was still her form teacher previously, and she had always been careful with her during the parent-teacher meeting. She did not expect that she would now become the woman of her son. It was not easy for Zhou Hao to make a trip back to Xiang City. In a few days, he would be going to Beijing to see Zhao Rixin again. Yining Middle School planned to let Zhou Hao participate in the college entrance exam arranged for him by the school tomorrow. Originally, with Zhou Hao's relationship with the city government and his increasing wealth, Yining Middle School had already prepared a degree for him in the middle of high school. But Yin Tong and Li Ruolin did not agree that Zhou Hao would be promoted to high school just like that. This was very unfair to the other students who participated in the middle school examination. Even though with Zhou Hao's current strength, it did not matter whether it was fair or not. Therefore, The school science team teacher specially gave Zhou Hao a test question. Since Zhou Hao was originally the top student in the class, and Yin Tong also requested that the school not go easy on him. So the difficulty of this test question was even harder than the previous middle school examination questions. The school's test was scheduled to be tomorrow, so Zhou Hao wanted to go back to Yining Middle School to take a look today. Zhou Hao had also applied for a long leave from the school just like Li Ruolin, and he had not returned to school since the start of school. So when he appeared in the classroom at this time, it shocked all the students in the class. Lu Shichao, who usually had the best relationship with Zhou Hao, did not care about the looks of disdain from the surrounding classmates. He hugged Zhou Hao and made a crying gesture in his arms. "Zhou Hao, you finally appeared. I missed you so much. Hey, don't be like this. Everyone else is watching." Zhou Hao hurriedly pushed Lu Shichao away and looked at Gao Jingyi, who was still sitting in front of him. Gao Jingyi combed her hair by the side of her temples and showed a gentle smile to Zhou Hao. "Zhou Hao, long time no see. I heard that you have been sightseeing outside for the past 2 months. Have you been very happy?" "It is not a sightseeing. I went with a fellow disciple to look for herbs and made contributions to the medical community of our country." Zhou Hao said half-jokingly, "You don't know. In the future, the medical community will be supported by the people of our sect. You can brag. You don't even draft a script when you speak." Gao Jingyi was teased by Zhou Hao until she covered her mouth and smiled. Her appearance was as charming as it could be. It even stunned Lu Shichao, who was beside Zhou Hao. Lu Shichao moved closer to Zhou Hao's ear and whispered, "Zhou Hao, only those guys in our class can make our tall beauty laugh so easily." Even if she memorized Zhou Xingqi's classic white lines and performed it for her to see, her mouth would not move. Although Gao Jingyi could not hear Lu Shichao's words, under Zhou Hao's gaze, her face was also covered with a faint, flower-like pink color. In order to eliminate the awkwardness, she said to Zhou Hao, "The school seems to have arranged for the entrance exam for you tomorrow. Are you ready?" "Actually, I don't need to prepare anything. All the knowledge is in my head." Zhou Hao smiled and nodded at his temples. Indeed, perhaps it was the effect of the amber fruit, or perhaps it was the effect of the Qi nourishment records. Zhou Hao felt that his memory was much better than before. Even though he had not read the textbooks for a few months, the opposite knowledge was still very clear. Moreover, he was a top student in his previous life. His foundation was not bad, and it was more than enough to deal with this personal exam. He said to Gao Jingyi, "Actually, you can also let the school arrange a personal test like me. Even if you don't need to take the test, the school will keep your degree." Her father was the mayor of Xiang City. If she wanted to do this, it would be much more convenient than Zhou Hao. Gao Jingyi smiled at Zhou Hao and said, "I don't want to be like some people who get nothing without work. I need to rely on my own strength to get into the exam." "That's right." Lu Shichao, who was beside her, also deliberately glanced at Zhou Hao. "We look down on people who get nothing out of work the most." Zhou Hao hurriedly complained, Hey, I didn't get anything without doing anything. I also want to take the exam. My knowledge is just a little earlier than yours." Although Lu Shichao was not as good as Zhou Hao and Gao Jingyi, and was usually playful, his grades were also above average in the class. He would not have any problems passing the exam to the high school and Yining Middle School. Furthermore, in Zhou Hao's previous life, Lu Shichao finally got into the famous South Ji University and earned a lot of glory for his family. At this time, he heard Gao Jingyi suddenly say with a desolate expression, "Right, even if we can be in the same class again in high school, I might not be able to be classmates with you for too long." What's going on?" Zhou Hao and Lu Shichao were shocked and asked at the same time. Gao Jingyi's deskmate Luo Hui also said sadly, "Jingyi's father wants to arrange for her to study abroad." "Go abroad to study?" Zhou Hao was surprised. Gao Jingyi looked at Zhou Hao and nodded slightly. "My dad wants me to study abroad in America." Jingyi's dad wanted her to go to America after she graduated from junior high. Luo Hui said, but Jingyi said she didn't want to stay here for so long. She still wants to stay here for a while. When she said this, she deliberately looked at Zhou Hao. Maybe it's the second semester of the first year, or the first semester of the second year. "I'm going to America," Gao Jingyi said. After hearing Gao Jingyi's words, Zhou Hao felt a little conflicted in his heart. Of course he was unwilling to see Gao Jingyi leave, but he had no reason to stop her, because this was originally their own family matter. Furthermore, the teaching standards in the United States were indeed better than in the country. If they could get into a relatively famous university in America, their future would be a little brighter after returning to China. Furthermore, Gao Jingyi also had a father who was the mayor. In this aspect, it was not a problem at all. Seeing Gao Jingyi's indifferent but faintly reluctant gaze, Zhou Hao suddenly wanted to say to her, "Don't leave." But thinking about how the few women beside him had caused him to panic, he really did not have the qualifications to ask them to do anything. Thus, he smiled and said, "Actually, going abroad is also a very good choice. After all, it's very beneficial for you to be able to see more people and things outside. Didn't I hear you say that your dream is to become a lawyer in the future? I know Princeton's law school is very famous in the United States. You can study law majors as much as you want there." Gao Jingyi heard Zhou Hao's words, and her eyes showed some disappointment. Luo Hui, who was beside him, also looked at Zhou Hao with disappointment. She pulled Gao Jingyi and turned around and said angrily, "Jingyi, let's not care about this wood." Seeing Gao Jingyi and Luo Hui's reaction, Zhou Hao scratched his head and asked Lu Shiqiao, who was beside him, "Did I say something wrong?" Lu Shiqiao also looked at him with half-closed eyes. He said lazily, "Don't ask me. It was you who failed to live up to your expectations." After saying that, he turned his head and ignored Zhou Hao. Zhou Hao sighed in his heart. In fact, how could he not know Gao Jingyi's feelings? However, at least at this stage, he felt that it was better for him not to provoke Gao Jingyi. Looking at Gao Jingyi's long and quiet back, Zhou Hao supported his cheek and fell into deep thought. He remembered that in his previous life, Gao Jingyi had gone abroad to study, but that was after she graduated from high school. She went to Princeton University in the United States instead of just going to high school. Could it be that because of his rebirth, Gao Jingyi's life also changed? Zhou Hao thought in his heart. However, he did not feel afraid of it, because the lives of himself and the few women around him had changed a long time ago because of his rebirth. Until now, there was nothing to be surprised about. Furthermore, when he rescued Gao Jingyi from the hands of the two construction workers, it had already changed Gao Jingyi's life. Zhou Hao silently watched Gao Jingyi's back and recalled the life he had in high school in his previous life. At that time, Gao Jingyi had always been the campus belle of Yining Middle School and was sought after by many boys outside the school. At that time, Zhou Hao was just a diligent and unknown student. In total, what Zhou Hao had said to Gao Jingyi in his previous life was not even comparable to the short time they spent together after reincarnating. Just as he was reminiscing, the teacher on stage suddenly called out Zhou Hao's name. "Zhou Hao, someone is looking for you outside." The chemistry teacher on the stage adjusted the glasses on his face. Zhou Hao looked outside the classroom and was surprised to see a familiar figure. It was Situ Jianying. Situ Jianying was waving at him with a smile on her face. Furthermore, she was wearing the uniform of Yining Middle School. Situ Jianying was very beautiful to begin with. She also had a mature aura that people of the same age did not possess. Looking at her, he thought that she was a senior from the high school. When the classmates in the class saw such a beautiful senior sister coming to find Zhou Hao, they all turned their gazes over. Gao Jingyi also looked at Zhou Hao, her hazy eyes containing doubt, uneasiness, and sadness. Seeing Gao Jingyi's sad eyes, Zhou Hao really wanted to explain something to her, but thinking about it, he realized that he couldn't explain anything at all because Situ Jianying was his woman. Luo Hui, who was beside Gao Jingyi, saw Situ Jianying outside the classroom and looked at Zhou Hao. She scolded fiercely, "You are a playboy." She even glared at Lu Shiqiao after she finished speaking. Lu Shiqiao said very unjustly, "Why are you staring at me? It's not like it's me." The chemistry teacher on the stage said to Zhou Hao, "Zhou Hao, if there's anything, you can leave first. It's okay." If it was another student, he wouldn't be so easy to talk to. But he knew Zhou Hao was different. Even the school had specially prepared an entrance exam for him. Therefore, he didn't want to make things difficult for Zhou Hao. "Thank you, teacher." Zhou Hao stood up and looked at Gao Jingyi's back before he turned around and walked out of the classroom. Situ Jianying saw Zhou Hao come out and immediately welcomed him happily. She even held Zhou Hao's arm. Many students in the class and Gao Jingyi, who had been paying attention to Zhou Hao, also saw this scene. Gao Jingyi lowered her head and her eyes were filled with tears. Luo Hui, who was by the side, lightly patted Gao Jingyi's shoulder and softly advised, "That playboy, don't bother about him anymore. He was such a blockhead that he could not see through your feelings, and now he hooked up with another woman. What is there that is worthy of you liking?" Gao Jingyi turned her head and looked outside. When she saw that Zhou Hao and Situ Jianying were no longer around, she shook her head and said with a rough voice, "You don't understand?" She also secretly felt hurt. Besides, when Situ Jianying held Zhou Hao's arm, he quickly pulled Situ Jianying away from the teacher. He even said to Situ Jianying, "Why are you so reckless?" Many people saw it. Situ Jianying pouted. If they saw it, they saw it. What are you afraid of? I just want them to see it so that they know that you have a girlfriend, so that they won't pester you. However, when she saw Zhou Hao's stern face, she lowered her head. All right, I was wrong. I know I was wrong. Don't blame me, okay? Seeing her like this, Zhou could not get angry. He looked around and saw that no one else had slapped Situ Jinying's perky butt. You woman, you really went to the bedroom and exposed the tiles if you don't hit her in 3 days. After being hit by Zhou like this, Situ Jinying's face was as red as makeup and her pair of phoenix eyes were filled with lust. She almost leaned her entire body into Zhou's embrace. Her voice was also soft and soft. Master, it has been a long time since you taught this servant a lesson. Zhou fiercely sucked in a breath of cold air. Situ Jinying, this lass, always had some masochistic feelings, causing him to unconsciously have the impulse to commit a crime. However, he still suppressed the restless feeling in his heart and said to Situ Jinying, "Be serious. It will not be good if other students and teachers see it." As he spoke, he pulled her out of the school building. Why are you here? And this school uniform? How did you get it? This school uniform was obtained from a friend who graduated from Ening Middle School. Situ Jinying honestly replied. As for me coming here, didn't I say that I would be going to high school here? That's why I came here in advance to take a look. It's that simple? Zhou looked at her indifferently. You can only visit me after the holidays. Shouldn't you be attending classes in number 2 senior high school now? I miss you, Situ Jinying said with a bright smile. It was not easy for you to come back. You have to leave in a few days. I have to hurry to see you. Zhou smiled bitterly and shook his head. With Situ Jinying's personality, if she wanted to see him, she could even run away from home, let alone skip class. However, since she wanted to come here to visit, Zhou did as she wished and brought her around Ening Middle School. Finally, Zhou brought her to the experimental building south of the school. As Ening Middle School usually cleaned the experimental building on Thursday, there were no classes here today. The laboratory building had been cleaned in the morning, so there was no one in the building. Zhou and Situ Jinying went to a physics lab on the 2nd floor. Situ Jinying saw Zhou bring her to an empty lab and guessed what he wanted to do. So her face was red, filled with excitement and anticipation. And the truth was just as she thought. After entering the laboratory, Zhou sat on the chair on the podium and let Situ Jinying sit on his lap. Without saying anything, he fiercely kissed Situ Jinying's soft and plump lips. Situ Jinying and Zhou had not seen each other for almost 2 months. She missed him very much. Now that he kissed her, she could not help but take the initiative to stick out her tongue for him to taste. Zhou did not have time either. He kept caressing her delicate body, which was much more mature than his peers. After that, Zhou simply let Situ Jinying sit on his lap. He unzipped Situ Jinying's school uniform and lifted the thin sweater inside. He saw Situ Jinying's chest, which was tightly wrapped in pink and blue bra. Just as the two of them were burning with passion, Zhou keenly heard the footsteps of leather shoes coming from outside. So he immediately picked Situ Jinying up and rushed to the small room behind the laboratory that was used to store experimental equipment. Situ Jinying was confused by Zhou just now and did not hear any footsteps. When she saw Zhou carrying her here, she thought that Zhou wanted to do something with her. Zhou put his finger on his lips and made a shush sound. He looked outside through the crack of the door. There was indeed someone coming from outside. It was the principal of Ening Middle School, Jin Dawei, and the leader of the political science department, He Xiangping. Jin Dawei was in his 40s, and he was already married. There were also 2 children. He Xiangping was in his 30s. His husband was a section chief of the City Financial Bureau. What surprised Zhou and Situ Jinying was that Jin Dawei and He Xiangping, just like Zhou and the others, sat on the chair at the podium as soon as they entered the laboratory. He Xiangping sat on Jin Dawei's lap, and the two of them kissed intensely. In fact, although Jin Dawei was in his 40s, his appearance was not bad. He was usually quite serious in front of the teachers and students. He Xiangping was also a good-looking man, but he did not smile at work. Zhou did not expect that the two of them would also be sanctimonious and hook up with each other. However, the battle between Jin Dawei and Situ Jinying was even more intense than the battle between Zhou and Situ Jinying. Furthermore, because Jin Dawei and Situ Jinying thought that there was no one else in the laboratory building, hence, He Xiangping's voice became somewhat unrestrained. This caused Zhou and Situ Jinying, the two spectators, to become excited. Seeing the intense battle between Jin Dawei and Situ Jinying, Zhou and Situ Jinying could not help but feel excited. When they came out of the laboratory, it was the time for school to end. Zhou and Situ Jinying walked out of the school gate together. Seeing the surrounding students rushing out of the school gate, Zhou suddenly had an ominous feeling. Zhou no longer doubted his intuition. Even the special prize of the welfare lottery could be guessed by him. Was there a need to doubt its accuracy? Furthermore, It was also by relying on his extraordinary intuition that Zhou Hao was able to survive many crises. Therefore, the moment this premonition appeared, Zhou Hao knew that danger was about to descend. He immediately hugged Situ Jianying, who was beside him, and looked around vigilantly. Situ Jianying was suddenly hugged by Zhou Hao and said with a smile, "Weren't you afraid that others would see you just now? What's wrong now?" Although she said that, Situ Jianying still felt very proud when she saw the surrounding students looking in their direction. Before Zhou Hao had time to explain to Situ Jianying, he suddenly heard a male voice exploding on the empty ground in front of the school gate. "They won't let me live. They drove me crazy. I won't let everyone live either." There was a man there who took out a 30 centimeters long knife from his pocket. He grabbed a girl who was in her first year and wiped her neck. The knife was very sharp. That man was deliberately committing murder again, and he used a lot of force. He immediately cut the young girl's carotid artery, causing her to spurt out blood. The little girl fell down on the spot. The young girl's blood splashed onto the man's face. After seeing the blood, the look in his eyes became even more ferocious. He reached out his hand again and grabbed a boy in front of him, who had yet to react, and stabbed him in the stomach. It was only when the boy was stabbed to the ground that the surrounding students reacted and ran around. Those who had just walked out of the school immediately turned around and ran towards the school. Zhou Hao was at the school gate. When he saw the man outside take out his knife, he knew that something was wrong. He wanted to rush out, but he was blocked by the students in front of him. With this delay, the man had already stabbed the boy to the ground. At this time, the students who were running towards them also pushed Zhou Hao and Situ Jianying back. "A minute, let me out." Zhou Hao wanted to go out and stop that man, but the students who kept rushing in blocked his way. He shouted to Situ Jianying, who was in his arms, "Go and call the police. I will stop that guy." He was afraid that Situ Jianying would be knocked down by the students and trampled by them. Zhou Hao also protected Situ Jianying to a banyan tree not far away. After that, he used his light body technique and jumped 2 to 3 meters high, stepping on the shoulders of the students who were running for their lives as he jumped towards the school gate. At this time, the man had already killed the 4th student. He raised his knife and was about to pounce on a girl who had fallen to the ground due to fear. Just as his knife was about to hit the girl, Zhou Hao jumped out from behind and kicked him in the face. Zhou Hao's kick was very powerful, and it sent the man flying on the spot. He fell heavily onto the ground more than 10 meters away and fainted. At this moment, a sanitation worker and a guard of Ening Middle School rushed over from not far away and held the man down. At the same time, they kicked the knife in the man's hand away. Zhou Hao immediately ran to the side of the first girl who was attacked. He saw that blood was still flowing out of her neck, and there was already a pool of blood under her body. He squatted down and pressed down on the girl's neck. At the same time, he pressed a few major acupuncture points on her body to stop the bleeding. However, due to the large amount of blood loss, the girl was already on the verge of dying. Zhou Hao reached out his hand and pressed it on her chest. He slowly injected genuine auras into her body to protect her heart. At this time, the surrounding passers-by also hurried over to help. Seeing Zhou Hao pressing down on the little girl's chest, they saw that Zhou Hao was pressing down on her chest. It was not a normal CPR. All of them were puzzled. Zhou Hao raised his head and shouted to them, "Quickly go and report to the ambulance." After saying that, he ran to the other 3 victims. 2 of them had been stabbed multiple times. Some of them were so deep that their bones could be seen, and their bodies were covered in blood. It was very terrifying. Zhou Hao immediately sealed the acupoints on their bodies to stop the bleeding. At the same time, he poured genuine auras into them to protect their breathing. However, the second boy who was attacked had been stabbed more than 10 times. All of his internal organs had been severely injured, and he had died on the spot. Even the great Luo Divine Immortal would find it difficult to save him. On the other hand, his eyes were still wide open, and he still retained the shock, terror, and unwillingness before his death. Zhou Hao sighed and closed his eyes. "Sorry, I am late." The police and ambulance arrived soon. The 3 victims were seriously injured. However, since Zhou Hao had helped them stop the bleeding in time and used genuine auras to protect their breathing, as long as they were sent to the hospital in time for emergency treatment, their lives should not be in danger. The paramedics quickly carried the injured person to the ambulance and sent him to the hospital. The police also arrested the criminal who had fainted. Such a big thing had happened. The mayor of Xiang City, Gao Holu, and Situ Li from the Public Security Bureau had both personally come to the scene. Situ Jianying also came to Zhou Hao's side. When she saw Zhou Hao's sad expression, she asked with concern, "Zhou Hao, are you all right? Are you hurt?" Zhou Hao shook his head. "I'm fine. It's just that I can't save that person." Situ Jinying looked at Zhou Hao's self-reproachful expression and comforted him gently. Don't blame yourself. You have done your best. If it wasn't for you, I'm afraid that even more people would have been attacked. Although Situ Jinying said so, Zhou Hao still felt very sad in his heart. Gao Holu and Situ Li walked over with solemn expressions. They were also very sad and distressed that such a vicious case had suddenly occurred. However, they were very grateful to Zhou Hao, because if Zhou Hao hadn't stopped that man earlier, there would have been even more victims. The school's leaders and teachers rushed over when they heard about what had happened at the school gate. Li Rulan saw that Zhou Hao was also there and immediately walked over. Seeing that Zhou Hao's body was stained with the blood of the victim, they thought that Zhou Hao was injured. They also said very nervously, Xiao Hao, you were also injured? Sister Lan. Zhou Hao saw Li Rulan and said, No, I am not injured. I got this blood when I saved them. At that moment, the police had already locked up the small open space outside the school gate. The students who had escaped into the school just now also came out one after another. When they thought of the thrilling scene just now, they still had lingering fears. Especially when they saw the blood all over the ground, many students cried. Director Situ, you must punish that murderer severely. Also, investigate his motive. Gao Holu said to Situ Li, I will go to the hospital to see those injured students. Zhou Hao, are you going? In fact, Gao Holu was also scared. Luckily Gao Jingyi was used to studying in school for half an hour after school before returning home. Otherwise, if she caught up to the time when the murderer appeared, she might also be attacked. Currently, Gao Jingyi was still studying in the classroom. Due to such a thing happening, Gao Holu was also very concerned about his daughter's safety. He hurriedly sent people to find Gao Jingyi and protect her to go home. Hearing Gao Holu's words, Zhou Hao nodded. Li Rulan and Situ Jinying beside him also said in unison, I will go too. Li Rulan and Situ Jinying could not help looking at each other. Intuition told them that the relationship between the other and Zhou Hao was not ordinary. But at this time, they did not have the time to be jealous of each other. Therefore, Zhou Hao, Li Rulan and Situ Jinying sat in Gao Holu's car and went to the people's hospital. The parents of the victims had already arrived at the hospital. The 3 injured people were being rescued in the emergency room. An old doctor was explaining the injuries to their parents. Fortunately, they managed to stop the bleeding in time, and someone managed to keep them alive. Otherwise, it would have been difficult to save them if they were sent here, especially that little girl, whose carotid artery had been cut off. If she had bled a little more, it would have been impossible to save her. The old doctor had some knowledge about Qigong, so he could tell that the hearts of the 3 injured people had been strengthened by genuine auras. However, the Qigong was a little mysterious to ordinary people, so he didn't tell these parents about it in detail. Gao Holu and the few city leaders comforted the parents of the victims one by one. At the same time, they promised that the city would provide a certain amount of subsidy for their treatment fees. At this time, Zhou Hao said, Mayor Gao, the difference in treatment fees, how much is the difference? Just let me make up for it. Everyone. He was the one who stopped the murderer in time and saved your child. Gao Holu introduced Zhou Hao to the parents. When the parents heard Gao Holu's words and saw that Zhou Hao not only saved their child, but was also willing to pay for their treatment fees, they were all extremely grateful to Zhou Hao. At this moment, a woman walked over and threw herself on Zhou Hao. She kept hitting his chest with her hands and cried with tears streaming down her face. Why didn't you save my child? Why didn't you save him? Woo woo. Why didn't you save him? This woman was the mother of the unfortunate boy who died. Other people's children could be saved, but her son could not. The pain of losing his son was unbearable. Even though he knew that Zhou Hao did not do anything wrong, he could only vent his sorrow on him. Zhou Hao supported his poor mother and did not argue. He only lowered his head and said with a desolate expression, Sorry, Auntie, don't blame Zhou Hao. He has tried his best. Situ Jinying defended Zhou Hao. Zhou Hao was the man she loved, and this time he acted bravely for the sake of justice. How could she let Zhou Hao suffer? Li Rulan also supported the mother and advised, Yes, Auntie, this cannot be blamed on him. Seeing her mother's heartbroken appearance, Li Rulan was also very sad. Furthermore, the unfortunate person who died was also a student of her school, so Li Rulan could not help but cry. At this time, a policeman rushed over and said to Gao Holu, Mayor Gao, the prisoner has woken up. Therefore, Zhou Hao, Li Rulan and Situ Jinying came to the Public Security Bureau. When the man was committing murder, Zhou Hao, who was filled with righteous indignation, wanted to kill him with one strike. However, Considering that the police still wanted to investigate this person, he restrained his strength and kicked him unconscious. After the interrogation by the police, everyone found out that this man's name was Zhang Mingsheng. He was originally a surgeon in a hospital, but after being fired last year, he had been unemployed at home. As for his motive for committing murder this time, it was because he had been out of love many times due to his poor family circumstances. Even now, he was in his 40s and had yet to get married. It was a blow to his career and also a blow to his words. It made him feel a sense of sadness and disgust towards the world. He also decided to take revenge on society to express his dissatisfaction. When Situ Li brought Zhou Hao and Gao Holu to the detention center and saw Zhang Mingsheng, he was sitting in a corner on the ground and muttering expressionlessly to himself. Zhou Hao heard him repeating, "I am dissatisfied with society." This sentence, it was like a curse. Not only did it cause the 4 victims, it also caused him to fall into a disaster. Zhou Hao grabbed the steel pipe on the metal door with both hands. Zhang Mingsheng, who was opposite him, shouted, "If you are dissatisfied with society, can you kill others? Those students who were killed by you did something wrong. Are they supposed to be hurt?" Because he could not suppress the anger in his heart, the 2 steel pipes that he had grabbed also caved in and deformed under his great strength. Situ Li and Gao Holu, who were watching from the side, were shocked. Zhou Hao's scolding contained a biting cold genuine aura, causing Zhang Mingsheng, who had his face covered, to tremble. He slowly turned his head and looked at Zhou Hao, but his face was filled with an indifferent expression. He smiled slightly and then muttered to himself, "They won't let me live. They forced me to go crazy. I won't let everyone live either." F***CKU. Zhou Hao kicked the iron door. There was a loud noise, and some dust fell off the wall. Situ Li and Gao Holu subconsciously took 2 steps back when they felt Zhou Hao's violent anger. Li Rulin went forward and grabbed Zhou Hao's arm. She comforted him. "Don't do this. He did this. He will naturally be punished by the law. Don't anger yourself." Situ Jinying also walked over and said, "That's right. This kind of person is worse than a beast. It is not worth you to be angry for him." Situ Li and Gao Holu looked at each other. They thought that at this time, only the woman beside Zhou Hao would dare to persuade him. They looked at the iron gate again. 2 steel pipes had already been broken by Zhou Hao's kick just now. Finally, when Zhou Hao left the Public Security Bureau, Situ Li told him that with what Zhang Mingsheng had done, even if it wasn't a death sentence, it would still be a life imprisonment. In short, he would never be able to see the light of day again in this lifetime. Situ Jinying wanted to leave with Zhou Hao, but was stopped by Situ Li. Situ Li said to her, "You've been crazy outside for the whole day. Don't go out again. Come home with me later." "No, I want to go with Zhou Hao." Situ Jinying pouted. Situ Li felt helpless. His daughter was completely captivated by Zhou Hao. Not only was she obedient to Zhou Hao, but for Zhou Hao's sake, she, who hated studying the most in the past, had also settled down to study. She even said that she wanted to get into the Yining Middle School. It made Situ Li hate and love Zhou Hao. He had raised Situ Jinying for more than 10 years, but she had never been so obedient to him. Seeing that Situ Jinying wanted to leave with Zhou Hao, Situ Li could only look at Zhou Hao. Zhou Hao said to Situ Jinying, "Jinying, you should go back with Uncle Situ first. Auntie must be very worried about you when she hears about what happened today." He walked over and touched Situ Jinying's forehead. "As a child, you must understand to be filial to your parents." "Oh, I understand," Situ Jinying said obediently, but she still secretly looked at Li Rulin, who was like water behind Zhou Hao, and guessed the relationship between Li Rulin and Zhou Hao. Situ Li, who was beside her, was angry. He did not expect Zhou Hao to teach his daughter to be filial to her parents. Situ Jinying grabbed his hand and said, "Dad, let's go back." "Don't worry, Mom." As for Li Rulin's matter, she did not ask Zhou Hao. She thought that if Zhou Hao wanted to tell her, he would naturally tell her. Now that Zhou Hao was in a low mood, she didn't want to add to Zhou Hao's troubles. Situ Li was pulled away by Situ Jinying. When they passed by Zhou Hao, he even whispered to Zhou Hao, "You are really amazing." Regarding this matter, the media coverage was extremely limited. As the current internet was not as developed as it would be in the future, the government still had a lot of control over the various news media outlets. In order to not cause too much of an impact on this matter, the Xiang City government had sealed off the news to a large extent. Therefore, the news of this matter was only limited to a small scale. At this time, Yin Tong also called. Mrs. Zhou's restaurant and Romance's Full House cake shop were just opposite the school gate of Yining Middle School. The staff there naturally saw what had happened. After Yin Tong heard the news, she immediately called to ask about Zhou Hao's condition worriedly. Although she knew that Zhou Hao's martial arts was extraordinary, she was still afraid that her son would be injured. "Mom, I'm fine. You don't have to worry." "Right. I'll spend the night with Sister Lan. I won't be going back," Zhou Hao said over the phone. Yin Tong did not interfere much with Zhou Hao and Li Ruolin. She only said, "You still have to take the exam tomorrow and Ruolin still have to go to school. Remember not to be so crazy." Zhou Hao and Li Ruolin returned to Yining Middle School together. The bloodstains in front of the school gate had already been washed clean, and the school also posted an announcement saying that class would be suspended for one day tomorrow. Jin Dawei and a few school leaders went to the hospital to pay their respects to the injured students. When they returned to Li Ruolin's dormitory, because Zhou Hao's body was still stained with the blood of the students, they went to the bathroom to take a shower. However, Li Ruolin could only hear the sound of water in the bathroom. It had been a long time since Zhou Hao came out. She pushed open the bathroom door and walked in. She saw Zhou Hao sitting on the ground, letting the water on his body wash over him. After Li Ruolin came in, he slightly raised his head to look at her. Although there was water from the shower on Zhou Hao's face, Li Ruolin was sensitive to it. The water on his face was mixed with his tears, and the sadness in his eyes made Li Ruolin feel heartbroken. This man who had always been very strong in front of her seemed to be able to hold up the entire sky. This man, who was cruel and merciless when facing his enemies, who would not even blink when he killed, now shed tears in front of her, revealing his most vulnerable side. Li Ruolin knew that Zhou Hao was feeling sad for that dead student, even though a man should bleed and not cry. However, at this moment, Zhou Hao made Li Ruolin feel that he was real and kind. If he was indifferent to the innocent victims, it would be terrifying. Li Ruolin immediately went forward and held Zhou Hao in her arms. She also cried, "Xiao Hao, don't blame yourself. You have tried your best. No one will blame you. No one will blame you." Zhou Hao put his face on Li Ruolin's chest and said with a sore throat, "But when I think of the look in the student's eyes when he died, when I think of his mother's sorrowful cry, I feel uncomfortable in my heart. He could indeed kill without blinking his eyes, but those were all ferocious and vicious people. They definitely deserve to die." In front of his enemies, Zhou Hao was ruthless enough. But this time, those who were hurt were innocent students, especially the boy who died. When the tragedy happened, he didn't even know what happened and died under the knife. And that mother, the helplessness and grief on her face, shook Zhou Hao's heart. Zhou Hao lowered his head and sat on the ground, while Li Ruolin stood behind him. She rolled up her sleeves and thoughtfully helped him wash his hair and body. After the bath, Zhou Hao laid on Li Ruolin's bed, and Li Ruolin also leaned in his arms, quietly sharing his sadness. After telling Li Ruolin about his sadness, Zhou Hao felt much better. After all, he was a strong-willed person. That weakness just now was only temporary. He quickly pulled himself together. "Sister Lan, I will be coming to Beijing in a few days. If there is any problem with the deceased family, you can help them if you can. Just take the money from my account," Zhou Hao said to Li Ruolin. "Yes, I will," Li Ruolin said. Li Ruolin said gently. Zhou Hao had a lot of money, but he was not the kind of person who would not take anything out. When he met someone who needed help, he would always help. This was also a point that Li Ruolin admired very much. That night, the two of them did not do the soul-stirring thing. Instead, they quietly hugged each other and slept together. Although such a thing had happened in Yining Middle School, the personal promotion test that was originally arranged for Zhou Hao did not change the date. The next day, Zhou Hao, who had already regained his spirits, welcomed the exam that the school had arranged for him as scheduled. There were a total of 5 subjects, Yudaying and physics and chemistry. Due to the suspension of classes, the classroom in the school was empty. The school allowed Zhou Hao to take the exam alone in one classroom, and only one teacher was assigned to take the exam. However, it was not for the invigilator, but to be prepared to satisfy Zhou Hao's needs. Although these exam questions from Yining Middle School were a little more difficult than ordinary middle school exam questions, it was not difficult for Zhou Hao. The teacher saw that Zhou Hao's handwriting was like a god. Except for the humanities subjects, each subject took less than half an hour on average. In just one morning, he had finished all 5 subjects. The teacher looked at Zhou Hao's paper and was surprised to find that not only did Zhou Hao do the questions very quickly, his accuracy was also above 90%. He looked up and said to Zhou Hao, "There are no more problems. We will settle the other procedures for you. You just need to come back at the end of August to participate in the high school enrollment military training." In the lobby of the capital airport, a beautiful figure attracted the attention of the commuters. She sat on a chair with her legs crossed elegantly. Her black hair was tied into a simple and generous bun. In addition to her beautiful face and voluptuous figure, her entire person was filled with mature charm. At this moment, she was staring at the exit of the inn in front of her. Her face was filled with anticipation and excitement. Clearly, she was waiting for someone very important to her. However, there was still a hint of impatience on her face, because it was right there. Beside her, there was a young man who was patiently talking to her. Yuqin, why haven't you come for so long? Is his flight delayed? The man said to her. This beauty was surprisingly Zhao Yuqin, but her gaze remained on the passenger exit and did not look at the man beside her. You insisted on following me. If you don't like to wait, you can leave now. No one will keep you. He heard Zhao Yuqin's cold words. The man stopped for a moment, then smiled again. How can this be? Since he's Yuqin's younger brother, I have to meet him no matter what. Maybe he will be my brother-in-law from now on. Zhao Yuqin glanced at him and said expressionlessly, Dong Qishan, how many times have I said this? I don't have this possibility with you. Just give up. Don't think that I will submit to you just because you can make my father happy. As long as I don't like it, my dad won't force me. The smile on the man called Dong Qishan did not change. He still smiled and said, Yuqin, I have never thought of forcing you through old Master Zhao. I believe that my sincerity towards you will be able to move you sooner or later. I believe that one day, you will be willing to agree to me. I will wait for that day to come. Then you can wait slowly. Zhao Yuqin lightly snorted. When she turned around to look at the passenger exit, her face suddenly revealed an unsuppressible joy. She suddenly stood up from her chair and walked towards the passenger exit with quick steps. The two bodyguards in plain clothes also hurriedly followed behind to ensure Zhao Yuqin's safety. Looking at Zhao Yuqin's slim and graceful back, the smile on Dong Qishan's face suddenly became gloomy. He muttered to himself, One day, I will make you beg to lick my dick. Humph, 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 humph. Let's see how long you can keep your mouth shut. Zhao Yuqin quickly walked into the exit of the inn. Inside, there was a tall and slender figure walking towards her. It was Zhou Hao, who had come from far away from Xiang City. Sister. Zhou Hao was very happy to see Zhao Yuqin. He couldn't help but reach out his arms to hug Zhao Yuqin. But when he saw the tourists coming and going, and knew that Zhao Yuqin's identity was sensitive, it might have a bad effect on her. He stopped moving and his hands also stopped in the air. Zhao Yuqin took a step forward and took the initiative to hug him. Her face was tightly pressed against his chest. She said with deep affection, Little pervert, I miss you so much. Zhou Hao was stunned. He smiled bitterly in his heart. He was a man, but he was not as brave as Zhao Yuqin. He held Zhao Yuqin's back with both hands in the air. He smelled the delicate fragrance coming from her hair and felt his heart fill up. Yuqin, is he your younger brother? A male voice suddenly came and destroyed the warm atmosphere of the reunion between Zhou Hao and Zhao Yuqin. Dong Qishan looked at Zhou Hao and Zhao Yuqin, who were hugging each other, with an unfriendly expression. He looked at Zhou Hao with intense jealousy and indignation. Zhou Hao followed the sound and looked at him. He was also stunned. He could not help but frown. It's you. It's me. Dong Qishan sneered. You two know each other? Zhao Yuqin, who was still lying in Zhou Hao's arms, asked curiously. The one who was truly puzzled was Zhou Hao. Now it seemed that this man and Zhao Yuqin came together. And this man with an unfriendly expression was precisely the man surnamed Dong, whom he had met in Guilin. Zhou Hao still remembered that seductive Japanese woman who was with him at that time. Sister, this is... Zhou Hao looked at Zhao Yuqin. His name is Dong Qishan. He is just an insignificant person. You don't have to worry about him. Zhao Yuqin didn't have a good impression of Dong Qishan. Especially in front of Zhou Hao, she was afraid that Zhou Hao would misunderstand her relationship with Dong Qishan. After hearing Zhao Yuqin's words, Zhou Hao turned his gaze back to Dong Qishan. Dong Qishan had already stretched out his right hand towards him and said with a smile, I didn't expect you to be Yuqin's brother. Hee, we really don't know each other without fighting. I hope you don't take the misunderstanding to heart. Zhou Hao wasn't so tactful. He reached out his hand to grab Dong Qishan, and a smile appeared on his face. No. I have already forgotten everything that happened last time. Where's the girl next to you last time? Why isn't she with you? It's very rare to see such a beautiful girl. Dong Qishan purposely smiled and said. Zhao Yuqin gently looked at Zhou Hao and heard him say to Dong Qishan with a smile, She is still in Guangxi, so you don't need to worry about her. He knew that Dong Qishan deliberately mentioned Yang Jiabao to make Zhao Yuqin angry. But looking at Zhao Yuqin, she was not angry at Dong Qishan's words at all, which made Dong Qishan disappointed. When the group of people walked out of the airport, Dong Qishan smiled and invited Zhou Hao and Zhao Yuqin to sit in his car, but was politely rejected by Zhou Hao. Dong Qishan did not take it to heart. After Zhou Hao and Zhao Yuqin sat in their own car, he followed them closely. Zhao Yuqin's car was different from the Mercedes-Benz in Xiang City. It was a domestic, red flag car. Moreover, the car was equipped with bulletproof equipment. The back seat was very spacious and was separated from the front, so the two bodyguards in front could not hear the conversation between Zhou Hao and Zhao Yuqin. Furthermore, Zhou Hao noticed the license plate of this car. According to his research in his previous life, this number was specially reserved for the leaders of the country. No traffic police dared to stop a car like this when it was driven out of the country. Sister, you are not worthy of being a bodyguard in Xiang City. Why did you raise the standard here? Zhou Hao asked Zhao Yuqin with a smile. Zhao Yuqin said helplessly, my dad gave it to me. They are all members of the Central Security Team. They are different from ordinary bodyguards. Zhou Hao suddenly understood. He knew that the Central Guard was actually equivalent to the modern Royal Guards. They were the important leaders of the country and their families. They were also the bodyguards of the Central South Sea. The members of these guards were strictly selected by the elites of the army, and all of their skills were at the top of the list. Oh right, that Dong Qishan just now. Is he your friend? Zhou Hao asked. I hate that guy when he's mentioned. Zhao Yuqin took a deep breath and turned to Zhou Hao. You have to work harder. If you don't hurry, I'm afraid my dad will let me marry the B***starred. Zhou Hao's expression changed when he heard her. He saw Zhao Yuqin suddenly laugh. He only knew that Zhao Yuqin was joking with him. Looking in front of him, he saw that the two South China Sea bodyguards did not look over here. Zhou Hao stretched out his hand to scratch Zhao Yuqin's itch. Okay, you dare to scare me like this. See how I will teach you a lesson. Hee. No more. I don't dare anymore. I don't dare anymore. Zhao Yuqin hid in Zhou Hao's arms and begged for mercy. Actually, it is not all a joke. That guy is very hypocritical. He pretends to be a modest gentleman in front of my father. My dad really likes him. According to my dad, he wants me to be with him. That won't do. I won't let my sister leave me. Zhou Hao hugged Zhao Yuqin's soft body and said. Zhao Yuqin reached out and touched the tip of his nose. That's why I asked you to hold on tightly. Then she introduced Dong Qishan's background to Zhou Hao. Dong Qishan's background is similar to mine. His father is a member of the political bureau and has a lot of power. Furthermore, their family's foundation is very deep. Dong Qishan's grandfather followed him during the uprising of the chairman, and he was also a prominent person at that time. Although he had passed away for a long time, the influence he had left behind was still very great. Also, just like me, Dong Qishan was his father's son in his middle age. Therefore, everyone in the Dong family is very obedient to him. They are afraid that he will be unhappy with his life. He used to study in Australia. He only came back 2 years ago. Only now did Zhou Hao know that Dong Qishan had such a great background. After Yuan Sun, his father was also a member of the political scene. This was the true Crown Prince party. However, when he thought about how Dong Qishan was with the Japanese woman, although he still didn't know what their relationship was. However, Zhou Hao always felt that it wouldn't be a good thing for the son of such a country's leader to be together with the Japanese. What made Zhou Hao the most worried was that old Master Zhao wanted Zhao Yuqin to be with Dong Qishan. Compared to Dong Qishan's background, he seemed too ordinary. He scratched his head and muttered to himself, this love rival's background is too great. What love rival? You need me to be interested in him to be your love rival. I don't even like him. What kind of love rival are you and him? Zhao Yuqin glanced at Zhou Hao. Besides, Dong Qishan was just relying on his family. If he wasn't born in the Dong family, he's just a mediocre person. How can he compare to you? Because Zhao Yuqin's family background was prominent, those who came from wealthy and noble families were not worthy of her eyes. On the other hand, Zhou Hao, who came from a civilian background, was the one who could create extraordinary achievements. He was the one who was truly talented and moved her. By the way, what did Dong Qishan say about the girl beside you just now? Suddenly, Zhao Yuqin pinched the soft flesh on Zhou Hao's waist. Zhou Hao told Zhao Yuqin everything that happened in Guangxi and his relationship with Yang Jiabao. Zhao Yuqin was the only woman Zhou Hao would not hide. Before Zhou Hao went to Guangxi, Zhao Yuqin had warned him not to provoke Yang Jiabao. But in reality, Zhao Yuqin did not have much confidence in this matter. She knew that with Zhou Hao's charm, Yang Jiabao would fall into his hands sooner or later. She just did not expect it to happen so quickly. The reason why Zhou Hao and Yang Jiabao developed so quickly was largely because of Pu Changshu's matter. As the saying goes, when you are in trouble, you can see true feelings. Zhou Hao had stood up for her when the Yang family was in trouble. That was why Yang Jiabao had secretly fallen in love with him. I don't care anymore. You are connected to Yang Jiabao. I will go and find Dong Qishan as well. Zhao Yuqin said angrily. Zhou Hao quickly hugged Zhao Yuqin and coaxed, Sister, don't be like this. I know I was wrong. He naturally knew that Zhao Yuqin was only saying those words out of anger. But under such circumstances, Zhou Hao could only lower his stance to beg for forgiveness from the jade person. Zhao Yuqin, on the other hand, was a little jealous, but she was not really angry. She pinched Zhou Hao's nose and said angrily, Tell me, you are only so young. You haven't even graduated from junior high school. How many women are there with you? You can count them yourself. And that teacher lover of yours. For her, I want to beg Brother Zhu. I've never asked him for help like this since I was young. It's all because of you. This annoying little enemy. I know that Big Sister treats me well, so I will also treat Big Sister well. Zhou Hao smiled at Zhao Yuqin. Zhao family had a house on Fuxing Road. Usually, in order to facilitate the security work, Zhao Rixin and his wife lived in the South China Sea like the leaders of other countries. And because Zhao Yuqin could not enter and leave the Zhonghai South Sea as she pleased, when Zhao Yuqin came to Beijing, the couple accompanied their daughter to live in the house on Fuxing Road. This house was the place where Zhao Rixin lived before he became a committee member. After he became a committee member, the country also kept this house for him. It was an antique house. Just by standing in front of the door, one could feel the elegance of the house. Are we going to see old Master Zhao now? Standing in front of the house, Zhou Hao asked Zhao Yuqin nervously. Zhao Yuqin smiled. My dad is still working in the South China Sea. He usually only comes back at night. My mom is at home now. Dong Qishan also got out of the car at the back and smiled at Zhao Yuqin and Zhou Hao. Yuqin, Zhou, I have a private party at home this afternoon. Do you guys want to go? There will be no irrelevant people in our circle. The so-called circle was the gang of the Crown Prince, or the big families with extraordinary backgrounds. Zhao Yuqin did not immediately respond to Dong Qishan. Instead, she looked at Zhou Hao. Zhou Hao smiled and said, Then let's go and take a look. Dong Qishan saw that Zhao Yuqin gave the decision to Zhou Hao, but his heart was burning with jealousy. However, he did not show it on his face. He still smiled and said, The location is in the villa on the West Mountain. I will be waiting for you two to come. After saying that, he bid farewell to the two of them and returned to his car and left slowly. I didn't go to those cocktail parties or parties that he invited me to before. Zhao Yuqin smiled at Zhou Hao and said, But this time, you will accompany me. I will reluctantly go. Furthermore, there are many outstanding talents in the business world there. It is also good to let you get to know them. This is what they call social gatherings. Walking into the door of the house, a middle-aged woman nodded to Zhao Yuqin. Miss, you are back? Yes, Mother Su. This is the Xiao Hao I told you about before. This middle-aged woman was the nanny of Zhao family and had a very good relationship with Zhao Yuqin. Zhou Hao quickly greeted her, Hello, Mother Su. Hee, you are so handsome. Mother Su smiled and sized up Zhou Hao, then said to Zhao Yuqin, Madam is in the house and is preparing lunch. Zhao Yuqin brought Zhou Hao in and even smiled at him. My mother rarely cooks personally. This time it is all for you. Zhou Hao felt a little uneasy, Sister. It's my first time coming to your house, and I came here empty-handed. Is there really no problem? It's not like you're an outsider. If you bring a gift, you'd be treating me as an outsider. Besides, my parents hate it when people give gifts. If you bring any gifts over, they won't really like it. This house was indeed very antique. There were elegant ink paintings hanging on the walls. Inside the house, there were sour branches and furniture. There were also many chrysanthemums and orchids. Smelling the faint fragrance of flowers, it made people feel relaxed and relaxed. Other than the two guards by Zhao Yuqin's side, the surroundings of the house were also refreshed. There were also 4 people from the Central Guard. Zhou Hao found that these people all had a murderous aura. Zhou Hao knew that these experts of the inner circle could not be compared to him. But to ordinary people, they were real killing machines. Zhou Hao had a very deep impression of something that had been circulating on the internet in his past life. It was that the champion of a certain region had challenged a special forces soldier. However, just as he entered the arena, the champion was kicked down by the special forces soldier in less than 2 moves. And these people from the Central Guard were even more powerful than the special forces soldiers. Even if they did not have weapons in their hands, it would be very difficult for an ordinary 20 to 30 people to get close to them. Even though Zhao Yuqin had personally brought Zhou Hao back, the way they looked at Zhou Hao now was still like a falcon, sharp and full of vigilance. They were afraid that if Zhou Hao made any unusual movements, they would not hesitate to take out their guns and shoot him. When Zhou Hao entered the room, he saw an old woman in her 60s, wearing an apron, busy cooking in the kitchen. Although she was old, He could still see that she was very similar to Zhao Yuqin. When she was young, she must have been a famous beauty. This old woman was obviously Zhao Rixin's wife, which was also Zhao Yuqin's mother, Yin Xinli. Because she gave birth to an old woman, it was very hard for my mother to give birth to me. So I have always listened to her since I was young. Zhao Yuqin whispered to Zhou Hao, then walked into the kitchen and hugged Yin Xinlin from behind. Mom, I'm back. You're not young anymore, yet you're still acting like a spoiled child to Mom. Yin Xinlin smiled and said. Then she turned around and saw Zhou Hao in the living room. Zhou Hao immediately nodded slightly to Yin Xinlin. Hello, Auntie Yin. This must be Xiao Hao. Yin Xinlin wiped her hands on her apron and walked out of the kitchen. Come, let me see what kind of spirit the little hero who saved our Yuqin twice is. Auntie Yin said. She smiled. Zhou Hao hurriedly smiled. It had to be said that with his outstanding appearance and modest temperament, Zhou Hao could always give people a good first impression. In addition, Yin Xinlin was originally kind and amiable. The first time she met Zhou Hao, she seemed to be very harmonious with him. Zhao Yuqin saw it with her eyes and felt happy in her heart. Like a friendly elder, Yin Xinlin chatted with Zhou Hao about the daily matters of seeing warmth and caring about Zhou Hao's results in school. She only heard her smile at Zhou Hao. Yuqin may be older than you, but she was naughty when she was young. All the boys in the neighborhood are very afraid of her. Who asked her to pull on someone else's pants at such a young age. So when she was young, those kids all called her a female hooligan. Zhao Yuqin immediately blushed and pouted. Mom, what happened at such a young age and you still dare to say it? Isn't that because I'm young and insensible? Yin Xinlin lovingly stroked Zhao Yuqin's hair, blinking. Our little darling has grown so big. Your father and I have also grown old, especially your father. Recently, his health has also been much worse than before. She said to Zhao Yuqin, your brother has started a family long ago. His son is almost as old as you. Now, your father and I want to see you become a family soon. Look, those people who grew up with you are all married now. They are so fortunate that they even gave birth to their children. If you don't hurry up, you will become an old lady. No one wants it anymore. Mom, even if your daughter becomes an old lady, a lot of people will still fight for her. Zhao Yuqin hugged Yin Xinlin's arm and smiled. At the same time, she quietly looked at Zhou Hao. Yin Xinlin turned her head and said to Zhou Hao, Xiao Hao, you should also advise this girl. She can't just wander around outside. As a woman, she has to be a good wife and a good mother. When Zhou Hao heard this, he felt conflicted in his heart. He thought to himself, Aunt Yin, I can't persuade elder sister to marry someone else, right? How can I push my own woman outside? So he scratched his head and smiled. Aunt Yin, I don't dare to mess around with this. It's better if my sister can handle it herself. Yin Xinlin shook her head with a bitter smile and said to Zhao Yuqin, you see, even Xiao Hao is afraid of you. After that, Zhou Hao and Zhao Yuqin accompanied Yin Xinlin for lunch. Yin Xinlin was very enthusiastic and kept stuffing food into Zhou Hao's bowl. Zhou Hao could not refuse it, so he could only accept it all. Xiao Hao, I heard that students nowadays all like to be in a relationship at a young age. Some people fall in love in junior high school. Is it really like this? Xiao Hao, do you have any sweetheart? Yin Xinlin's words caught Zhou Hao off guard. Zhou Hao almost spat out the food in his mouth. He quickly swallowed it, but it was stuck in his throat. Zhao Yuqin, who was beside him, hurriedly stroked his back and looked at Yin Xinlin reproachfully. Mom, how could you ask me that? Look, it scared me. However, she thought in her heart, this little enemy not only had a sweetheart, but also more than one. When Yin Xinlin saw that she had frightened Zhou Hao to such an extent, she also hurriedly asked Mother Su to bring a cup of water to Zhou Hao. She also said apologetically, I'm sorry, Xiao Hao. I scared you. Annie was just curious for a moment. Yin Xinlin was not someone who was idle at home. She also had a profession. She was the director of gynecology at Beijing Air Force Hospital. She came and went on time every day. The Central Guard had even specially arranged a female guard for her to be in charge of her security while she was at work. Although Zhao Rixin was the general committee of the political bureau, Yin Xinlin's identity in ancient times was worthy of being called a first-rank madam. However, she did not put on any airs. As long as she went to the hospital to look for a doctor, she would do her best to treat her. After Yin Xinlin went to work, Zhou Hao and Zhao Yuqin prepared to go to Dong Qishan's private cocktail party. Because of this, Zhao Yuqin deliberately changed into a long white dress, which looked very noble and beautiful. Zhou Hao also put on his suit. The two of them really looked like a match made in heaven. Dong Qishan's villa on the West Mountain was very luxurious. It stood in the middle of a maple tree. From afar, it looked like a miniature palace hidden in the forest. However, when Zhou Hao and Zhao Yuqin arrived, the open space outside the villa was already filled with all kinds of famous cars. Among them, there were some expensive sports cars imported from overseas that were not sold at all in the country. Dong Qishan saw Zhao Yuqin's car coming up from the foot of the mountain from afar and went out to welcome her. The old man called Shi Long also followed behind him at this time. Those rich and powerful descendants heard that Miss Zhao, who seldom attended this kind of banquet, had also come, so they followed Dong Qishan out to see the princess of Zhao family who did not like to appear in public.